Welcome back to day 2 of the New Zealand Track National Championships here in Cambridge at the Grassroots Trust Velodrome. I hope you enjoyed an intense first day of racing yesterday. Today in the commentary box we have myself, Colin Brown, and HP rider and defending champion in the elite sprint, Kieran, and 500 metres, Sian Fulton. How are we doing this morning, Sian?
Good. Good morning, everyone. Ready for another day of racing. Just excited to see how you guys all go, and good luck.
Big lineup today. We've got this morning in the first session, we've got under 17s sprint qualifying, also under 17 scratch race heats, semi-finals as well. Do we have any favourites going through in the under 17 sprints, Sian?
There's a few riders I'm excited to see. Looking to see how Nate goes. Obviously top seed in sprint qualifying today, so be excited to see what he can put out. Got a lot of other riders like Alex Schuller and Flynn Underwood and Wolf Penne, and we'll see how they go, Yeah,
some really strong performances from Wolf Penne yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes, the boy from Canterbury. Just a stacked day ahead of us. Cool, so looking at all the teams warming up, see Canterbury on screen, getting ready. Looks like some of their riders just preparing for the under 17 boys sprint qualifying, which is up first. A few riders from Auckland looks like just relaxing, taking their time to ease into the session. Our Waikato Bay of Plenty riders there. Auckland rider in the front of frame, just getting the legs ready to go. Can see in the rider frame there, 3 laps to go on the Tissot timing board. It's the 3 laps before they'll wind up into their flying 200s. Sian, I know you're a big fan of flying 200s. What do you think these riders will be going through this morning?
A lot of focus, and trying to figure out where they're going to jump to get up to max speed before the start line,
Going to see some super high cadence this morning on those restricted gears. What kind of RPM do we expect to be seeing? What kind of cadence are we looking at?
Probably quite high. These under 17s have a restriction of 7 metres, which is most commonly like a 50-15 ratio. So we'll probably see something quite fast, like the 150 mark.
Awesome. Look forward to seeing it. We'll just reflect a little bit on the racing from last night. In the under 19 boys, we saw some super fast times in the kilos with 7 of our top 8 hitting 104s. What did you think about that? I know you have some investment in a few of those riders.
Very impressive. It's not very often you see so many riders in the under 19s going into the 104s, so very cool to see some tight racing, and it'll be interesting how the rest of the week pans out.
Absolutely, and obviously a 1 flat from Kilo Kyrgyz as well. Pretty awesome to see that, new championship record.
Keeping hold of the Instagram handle as per. Also further down the results sheet to see so many 102s from the rest of the endurance boys and some good PBs out there, so very cool day.
Absolutely, and just for you guys who don't follow Nick Kyrgyz, his Instagram handle is Kilo Kyrgyz, that's what we're referring to. Do you think he'd be gutted to be that close to going sub 1, but not quite get there?
Yeah, I think, as you said yesterday, he's in better form this year than he was at last year's national champs. Obviously, he's been under that minute mark before with a 59.6, I think, but no doubt he'll be wanting to get there again pretty soon.
Absolutely. And how do you think that affected his ride later on in the scratch race? Really took a bit of juice out of his legs, you think?
Yeah.
Saw him trying to shut down Dan Bridgewater and Kean Watts.
Yeah, kilos do take a bit out of the legs. I think it'd be interesting to be in his head during the scratch race with how he's kind of feeling.
Sweet. So here we are at the New Zealand Track National Championships. First heat of the day is underway with the under 17 boys sprint qualifying. On track we see John O'Blythe of Southland just slowly starting to roll the legs around, just getting used to it. Sian, what's going through his head?
Probably just keeping in mind to keep the first couple of laps pretty slow, start the corkscrew up the track to get up to the fence, to be able to use as much of the banking as he can to get to max speed before starting that 200.
Absolutely, and for their warm-ups to this event today, has he been in here for a while? Has he been ripping it pretty hard on the rollers, or what's he been doing?
I'd say so. Most common warm-ups for a sprinter is quite on and off the rollers, not as much of a hard warm-up, but more short efforts and big recoveries to get things going.
Punchy efforts to really get the legs used to it. So we're looking at Jono just keeping the height up. He's going to receive the bell this lap coming through. Going to really start to wind it up here into the embankment. Here he goes, he's underway. He will be the marker that everyone else is chasing. Come on, Jono, let's go well. Comes in strong at 13.097. What do we think of that time, Sean?
Strong time to start the day, setting the benchmark, and be interesting to see how he ends up after everyone else is qualified.
Absolutely. So now we see on track, really getting into it. We've got Leighton Reilly of West Coast North Islands. Strong sprinting club. Centre, sorry. So have you ever had the pleasure of being the first rider of the session up on the track? What does that feel like? Is there any pressure getting the session underway, or do you think that wasn't really on Jono's mind?
I don't think I've ever had that feeling, to be honest. I think it would be pretty daunting getting things underway. So hats off to him.
Good on him. So here we go, Leighton coming down now will receive the bell, really winding it on, tipping it in down onto the black. Hit the 200 line here and he's away. Leg speed looks good, Sean. What do you think? Is he on top of that gear?
Yeah, he's looking good. I'm wondering if he's had some West Coast feedback from Jordan Castle from over in Canada.
Lovely, and here he is, hits the line at 13.074. Just beats Jono from the lap before. Well done, Leighton. So already we see just fractions of a second, just 2/10 there separating them. It's really a game of milliseconds, isn't it, Sean?
Yeah, it is. It can be quite daunting heading out there knowing that, 0.001 might give you top qualifying or second, and then it just sets you up for the rest of the day. So there's no real margin for error out there.
Absolutely. Just looking at the next rider now, we have Alex Fodden of Wellington up, just rolling around the top of the railing here. Looks calm.
I'm sure the Wellington sprint squad at home will be looking forward to seeing how this guy goes, seeing what he can put out and maybe getting close to some of their times.
Always got a dominant squad forming up down there. Do you have a favourite rider from down there?
I do love to see Chris Watts every time he's up here, so hopefully he's around or will be around soon.
Absolutely, and here we have Alex, he's underway, really driving it down the back straight now. Going to tip it in, really drive it through this one. Pushing it home, and he is in a 12.492. So 13 barrier is broken, and we're away. And we have our next rider up, getting through them nice and quickly. We have Cooper Johnson of Tasman. Tasman, Sean, a familiar area for you, I believe.
The Tasman boy. Looking forward to seeing how Cooper goes. I think his first sprint competition, indoors at least, and so it'll be interesting to see what he can put out there today and how he goes through the rounds.
Awesome. Have you seen much of him? Have you been back to Nelson recently?
I was back there in January and have seen a few of the Tasman crew racing, but this is my first time seeing a lot of them race indoors, so let's see how the Saxton Velodrome prepares them for this week.
Saxton Velodrome, obviously a great asset for the riders down in Tasman. How do you think that's affecting the scene down there?
I think it's really good, starting to get a bit more growth down there now after not having a track for a while. So hopefully it just keeps getting better and better.
Here we go, Cooper is getting underway now, tips it in down onto the black, hits the 200 line and he's off. Leg speed looks good down the back straight. Holding it in nicely down through the last corner. Hits the finish line and a 12.195. Already closing in on that sub 12 barrier. What kind of times do you expect to be seeing here today, Sean, from our top riders?
I think from memory, the under 17 records are 10.9 from Jackson Russell, and championship record of 11.06 by Kyle Lart. So fair bit of work to do from these boys, but I think as far as today goes, they're probably putting out some good PBs, so it's good to see.
Absolutely. So now we see Flynn Underwood of Waikato Bay of Plenty, a local boy, just rolling around, building up for his flying lap. Flying 200. Yeah, only 4 riders in and we're already closing in on that sub-12 barrier. We could see some fast times here towards the end. And here we go. Flynn really winding it up here.
Flynn spends a lot of time on this track, spent some good time with him at some sprint schools on Sundays, and so it'll be interesting. And he looks to be going well. He's just gone fastest or just equal through the first 100.
Hits the line in a 12.382. Cooper Johnson of Tasman's time still standing up. So here we see next rider up on the track, Benjamin Stewart of Auckland. I imagine he's probably spent a fair bit of time down here as well. So sprint camps that you mentioned, have you got a bit of involvement in coaching? Are you interested in that side of things?
Definitely, yeah. Especially now while being injured, looking for some different options to keep me occupied, and really interesting in the development of sprint cycling and cycling in general in New Zealand. So it's cool to be here and keeping an eye on all the juniors coming through.
Here we have Ben just really winding it up now, coming into the 200 metre line. Hits it on the black, here we go. Let's see how he goes through the first 100. Third fastest time so far. Really bringing it home hard. 12.353, good enough for the second fastest time overall. The Tasman boy, Cooper's time still standing up to the challenge. So here we see Jack Gherkin of Auckland, number 117, just up for his lap.
Nice to see a lot of Auckland riders here, and they've got a good background with sprinting, with the likes of Sam Dakin, Sam Webster, Ethan Mitchell, all coming from Auckland and now being part of the national sprint team. So hopefully here's the new lot coming through from Auckland.
Yeah, the next generation for
Yeah.
sure. I imagine a few of these boys are of the age that they would have been watching that sprint trio at the Olympics, at the Commonwealth Games. Imagine they probably look up to them. Here we go, really winding it up now. Driving it down the back straight. Let's see how he goes through the first 100. Fifth fastest time. Let's see how fast he can bring it home. Hits the line in a 12.682. Here we have Josh Parsons of Canterbury, just rolling around on the blue, sorry.
Let's see how Josh goes after coming from Canterbury and spending a lot of time on Denton Park, outdoor track. It's always cool to see the riders coming from an outdoor background and seeing what they can do indoors.
Obviously, the outdoor tracks don't have quite the same steepness on their embankments. Does it take much getting used to when you arrive here in Cambridge?
Quite often. As a junior, it took me a long time to adjust to that, especially because they're longer too, rather than being 250 metres.
Absolutely. So here we see Josh just hitting that 200 metre line, flying down the back straight, really good leg speed. Hits the 100-metre line with the fastest time so far. Can he bring it home? Hits the line in at 11.887. First rider to break that 12 barrier. Awesome to see. That's a strong time, Sean. Do we expect to see Wolf Penne challenging that time?
I think so, and it'll be interesting to see how he brings it in with such a good acceleration, whether he'll bring it in a bit slower and go off the power jump, or whether he'll bring it in a bit faster and hold on for longer.
Obviously, at this age group, we see a lot of riders taking on both endurance and the sprint events. Definitely going to have some fatigue in the legs after some big efforts yesterday. How do you think he's recovered overnight?
Oh, these Canterbury riders are always pretty fit coming from the outdoors, so I reckon he'll have some goodness still on the legs.
We saw yesterday in the IPs some really clever coaching strategies implemented. Do you think those coaches are also good at the sprint side of things?
Yeah, I think so. Canterbury comes with a lot of background and a lot of history in this sport, so lots of good knowledge from so many different areas.
Absolutely. Here we see Wolf Penne just winding it up now, receives the bell, staying high on the... Hits the 200 line, he's away. Looking really well on top of that gear at the 100 line. He is new fastest time so far. How can he bring it home? Come on, Wolf. Hits the line 11.779, new fastest time. Just seeing there that average speed for that effort was 61 kilometres an hour. Really winding things up, especially on such a small gear compared to some of the elite riders anyway. Next we see Liam Ramsey of Southland. Obviously you've spent a lot of time on both indoor tracks, Southland and here in Cambridge. Quite similar tracks to ride on, or subtle differences?
Subtle differences, with Cambridge being slightly wider, shorter straights, wider bends, and the transitions in and out of the corners aren't quite so steep. My preference is definitely riding here, although I've done a lot more races in Invercargill somehow. Nice acceleration here from Liam Ramsey. Looks to be going down the back straight nice and fast.
Hits the 100 line with the third fastest time so far. How can he bring it home? Third fastest time in a 12.084, just slightly over the 12 barrier.
Ryan Hanson now on the track. First year under 17 rider, under 15 team sprint record holder, so he's got some speed in the legs. No doubt we'll be looking forward to his first national sprint competition, being under 17. You can see Ryan's bringing it in quite early.
Receives the bell. Here he comes to the 200 metre line.
Hugging the black nicely.
Hits the 100 metre line. Fourth fastest time so far. Can he come home strong? Ooh, just breaking into that top three with a 12.033. Next up, we have George Manson of Southland. Strong southern contingent here. Always seem to send a good squad. So tell me, Sean, what's going through his mind while he's riding around up on the rail there with a couple of laps to go? What's he focused on?
Looking now to probably just use that transition down the back straight to create his final bit of speed before having to get out of the seat and get up to maximum. These Southland riders spend a lot of time indoors down there and have a lot of input from the likes of Sid Cumming, and so it'll be interesting.
And George is away, hits the 200 metre line, really winding it up down that back straight. Hits the 100 with the 7th fastest time. How strongly can he bring it home? 6th fastest time so far in a 12.278. Well done, George.
Last 2 riders to go now. We've got Alex Schuller on the track. Spends a lot of time here in Cambridge, and his sister Jess Schuller is also racing in the under-19 women's sprint. So a bit of sprinting in the family.
Absolutely, we've seen a lot of strong sibling pairings come through this velodrome. So what's that feeling like, Sean, when you're rolling around the top? Is there anything on your mind other than just really, really dialing it in, hitting your jump right, flying into that embankment? Is that anything else on your mind, or just...
I think just making every pedal stroke count and just really feeling the bike want to go underneath you. It's just one of the most incredible feelings.
Here we go, Alex is away. Down on the black nicely. Hits the 100 in a 5.93, that's 3rd fastest so far. Bring it home strong, breaks into the top 3 with an 11.931. Awesome to see all of our top 3 breaking that 12 barrier so far. Nate Boness up next of Auckland, notoriously strong rider. First year or second year, Sean?
So he's a first year under 17. Although it feels like he's been under 17 for a long time. I feel like I've seen him racing over the years, and he just hasn't gotten any older.
Been competing at that level really well for a while, even as an under 15.
Yeah, he's a really strong rider and really fast. It'd be cool to see what he puts out today and how he progresses through the rounds.
Yep, definitely, and could be some records in danger, if not today, definitely next year, if he carries on the way that he's going at the moment. So here we go, the final rider of the under 17 boys sprint qualifying, Nate Boness, winding it up now, gets the bell, tips it down and onto the black, hits to the 200 line, really rocking on the bike on the back straight, hits the 100 line, fastest time so far. Bring it home, Nate. Here we go. Really going hard. 11.231. That's the fastest qualifying time for Nate there.
Impressive ride by Nate as a first year under 17, so hopefully he can come back next year and get closer and closer to that sub-11 mark, and good luck for the rest of the day, team.
Dominant ride there from Nate, putting 0.5 of a second into second place there. Scoreboard is up now. Nate Boness in first, Wolf Penne in second, Josh Parsons third, Alex Schuller in fourth, Ryan Hanson fifth, Liam Ramsey sixth, Cooper Johnson seventh, and George Manson in eighth. Cooper Johnson, the Tasman boy, do you think you'll be happy with that?
I think so. Yeah, now I'm just really looking forward to seeing how he goes in the sprints, and if he's got any tactics there from Jason, and see how he goes.
Absolutely. Well done, boys. Moving into our next race now, we have the under 17 girls scratch race, 3,000 metre, the heat 1 on the start list. Scratch race is a bit of an interesting one, Sean. Favours both the sprinters and the enduros. Bit of a mixture. You see some riders going long, some riders happy to just wait for the end. Do you have any favourites from this race?
Oh, I think there's a few strong riders in this race. So this is just a heat. Top 8 go through from the 2 heats of this. So unfortunately just getting rid of one rider from each heat. But we've got the likes of Jodie Blackwood in here, Caitlin Kelly, Kirsty Watts, Hannah Payne, Millie Wright, all very strong riders and in very good company. So it'll be interesting to see how they ride this.
Really interesting dynamic having only 9 riders and just the one will be eliminated at the end. How do you think this race is going to be run knowing that you just have to not be last? You think it'll be quite conservative, wanting to save energy for the final? Cool. So here we are, just looking at the lineup on the rail. We have Jodie Blackwood of Auckland. We have Alina Worrell behind her, also of Auckland. Kirsty Watts of Canterbury. Caitlin Kelly of Southland. Zadie Scott, also of Southland. Michaela McDonald of Tasman. Hannah Payne of Waikato Bay of Plenty. Christina Scott, Waikato Bay of Plenty. And our final Waikato Bay of Plenty rider, Millie Wright. And Michaela Perry of Wellington on the end. Good luck, riders. And they're away. So just one neutral lap, roll around as a group and they'll receive the gun and 12 laps to go at the end of this lap. So just the one rider to be eliminated, Sean. Going to be quite a conservative race maybe. What do you think? See a little bit of aggression out there?
Maybe. I think a lot of them will just know that they can't come last, so we might see a lot of rush from the back, almost elimination style. So
just thinking that's a 12-lap elimination, isn't it? With just one rider being eliminated at the end. So here we see Kirsty Watts just pulling up. Southland rider coming through underneath her. That'll be Caitlin Kelly, just happy to sit on the front for a straight. Girls look like they're working well together, just happy to roll through.
everyone just lapping through nicely. We've got Jodie Blackwood on the front now. Fast sprinter Jodie, so she might be looking to sit in and just get the sprint at the end. She could be a good contender for later on.
Yeah, the scratch race is a personal favourite of yours, Sean.
I'll never say no to lining up in a scratch race. So much fun. Love being in a bunch. Love racing. But yeah, it's basically just an extended Kieran, really.
Obviously a super strong sprinter now, but what background did you come from?
A lot on the road, a lot of doing bunch racing on the track. Yeah, just really enjoyed racing my bike and always kind of felt I was going to be a sprinter, and that always favoured me, but any chance to race, I was pretty much there through all of my junior years.
So of the sprint formats, I guess the Kieran might be your favourite then.
Don't give me that question.
Don't make you pick favourites, huh?
Nah.
So here we just see Kirsty Watts of Canterbury just leading them around, checking over her shoulder. Willing to pull up, just see who's around at the front with her. Front two riders just looking at each other, asking the question, how are you feeling? Do you think there's much chat going on in that group, Sean?
Probably not, but as always, probably the Southland Waikato rivalry going on. You've got a couple Southland riders, a couple Waikato riders, and one Canterbury rider who tend to be the main centres with the main rivalry going for the points shield. So,
Do you think any riders have been sent out with a job to do today? Or just make sure you're not last?
yeah, I think making it through to the final, and then we might see some plans coming together a bit later on.
Absolutely, it'll be interesting to see.
Coming around with 3 to go now. We might start to see an increase in the pace. Got a few strong sprinters in here, and got Michaela McDonald from Tasman. Had a good ride in the elimination yesterday, so she's got some speed there.
Be interesting to see if we see an early jump, somebody willing to dig it in early and lead it out, or if everybody's willing to wait and really jump late. We go, 2 to go. Looks like Hannah Payne of Waikato is willing to lead it out, looking over her right shoulder, willing to make them go the long way round. Here we go, Southland rider comes around the outside, comes down onto the black, really kicking on. Oh, one rider down. Southland rider coming through to do it easily. All the riders in the group are safe, unfortunately, for Caitlin Kelly, but she is up and walking. Good to see. Kirsty, sorry.
Good to see Kirsty Watts walking off the track there and looks to be okay, so hopefully she has a good recovery for the rest of her racing.
Yep, obviously plenty of opportunities ahead, so we hopefully just get her over to the medical team, get her checked out, and good luck for the rest of the week. As expected, quite a calm, relaxed race there for the first 10 laps, 9-10 laps. And
yeah.
Really winding it up towards the end. Did you see which Southland rider that was?
Caitlin Kelly took the win with a bit of daylight between her and the rest of the bunch. Obviously got a good sprint there, so she'll be one to watch for later.
Sent a warning shot, do you think, for that final? One to watch.
Yeah, I think so. But others might have just been looking to just make it through, so the final will be where the real fireworks are.
Exactly, doesn't matter how many warning shots you fire in the heats, does it? Really save your matches for when it counts, especially in a nationals that's 5 days long. So I know you've done a fair amount of racing overseas, Sean. Favourite scratch race that you've ever done? In New Zealand or overseas?
Oh,
Obviously very different dynamics with riders you don't know overseas versus riders who do know you in New Zealand.
you could have given me a bit of warning for that question.
Where's the fun in that? That would infer that I've done some planning for this.
Raced quite a few scratch races over the years.
What's the first one that springs to mind?
Probably a good few of them in T-Town, to be honest, when I was over in America in 2019. Also have a bronze medal somehow from the scratch race at the Oceania Champs. So I'll keep that on the fridge.
Keep that on your mind. We'll come back to that. We're just seeing the second heat of the under-17 girls scratch race. Just rolling around the apron now, about to come up onto the rail.
Another strong field here today. We've got our new individual pursuit national champion, Megan Baker, in this heat. We've also got Erin Green of Tasman and Caroline Gray, Piper Russell, all very strong riders. So how do we reckon this one's going to pan out?
Yeah, a bit of a stacked field for this one, actually. Certainly not an easy task to not get last in this one. So just looking at the lineup of riders here. I'll run back through those in a second, but we're just seeing Piper Russell of Waikato Bay of Plenty, Kenzie Compton there of West Coast North Island, Millie Donald there on the back from Wellington. And just starting from the front again, for the whole list we have Sienna Lushcott of Auckland, Megan Baker, Canterbury, Geraldine Leaf, Northland, Lucy Griffin of Southland, Erin Green of Tasman, Caroline Gray of Waikato Bay of Plenty, and they're off. So obviously just one neutral lap here, just for them to sort out their order. And they hear the gun and they're away. 12 laps to go. So Sian, you mentioned T-Town. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and where it is and what was your experience there?
So it's a small town in Pennsylvania in America. So every year they have racing from, I think, May through to the end of August, starting with UCI racing in May and June, and turning into some pro-amateur racing through the rest of the season. So I went over there for a wee bit in 2019, and actually from May to August, and raced in pretty much everything I could.
Can you tell us a bit about the atmosphere there? Obviously, it's an outdoor track, 333 metre track, is it?
Yeah, that's the one. So incredible atmosphere. Can't wait to head back over there, hopefully next year.
The Americans sure know how to turn it on for some deep summer racing, whether it be crit or track. They do love their short format races. So here we see the Tasman rider hitting the front. Who is that, Sian?
That's Erin Green. So she's from Blenheim, riding for Tasman. I think this might be her first or second track nationals.
Do they have an outdoor track in Blenheim, or would she be travelling back and forth to Nelson a fair bit?
Yep, so they've got an outdoor track at the athletic park there in Blenheim. Hometown of Callum Saunders, who's part of the elite sprint team who went to the Tokyo Games last year. So good pedigree from Tasman.
Absolutely. If Callum Saunders had any piece of advice now for Erin, what do you think it would be? Not to put any words in his mouth, but I know that you know him well.
He'd say win. He's probably sitting at home on the couch thinking, what are you talking about?
Can't be last if you're first, right? So 3 riders from the South Island, but all different centres. Just happy to sit on the front for now. What is the rivalry like between those 3 centres from down south?
There's rivalry between everyone, but I think, the big centres mainly are Southland, Canterbury and Waikato, and they're the ones always fighting out for all the points to win the Shield.
Is there a level of camaraderie when you come up north and look after each other and take on the big centres like Waikato?
I think so. There's always so many riders, and I've always been part of a small team with Tasman, and it's always very cool to see such a big team coming in. But
absolutely. So here we're coming in with 5 laps to go. Riders just formed up 2 abreast here.
pretty conservative race so far. Got Geraldine just sitting on the outside. Pretty nice sprinter, so she'll be looking to stay in a similar position and set herself up for the finish.
Absolutely, at a steady tempo like this, you don't mind leading it out. 4 laps to go. Just see Caroline Gray in the yellow helmet sitting on the back. Keep an eye on her as we come into 3 laps to go.
Probably look to see a charge from the back. Everyone's starting to hustle a wee bit coming through the next few laps.
Absolutely. Mid-pack's almost a dangerous place to be. You can easily find yourself hitting the line, checking over your shoulder, and all of a sudden you're not mid-pack anymore. Very much like an elimination race, this one, for the last 3 laps anyway. Here we see the West Coast North Island rider just moving around the outside. Nobody wanting to be that last wheel. Going 3 wide now as we come in for 2 laps to go. Going 5 wide, seeing them really wind it up. Look to see a few riders come flying down off the embankment now. 3 riders deep on last wheel. Going to be a real push coming in with 1 to go. They hear the bell. Southland rider Lucy Griffin really leading it out. A little bit of daylight between her and Geraldine. 1 Auckland rider just a little bit distance off the back. Can she come in? Yep, here she is, coming down on the black. Who's going to get pipped at the line? It's going to be close. Oh, we'll have to wait and see who was knocked out there. That was really close. 3 wide over the finish at the back there. So I was distracted there watching the back of the race. Sean, did you see who won that heat?
I think I was too distracted as well, watching the blanket finish, trying to figure out who it was going to be. I think it was a big toss-up between the Southland rider and Geraldine.
Yeah, Lucy Griffin, I believe. Just really leading it out there from 1.5, 2 laps to go. Holding strong, but Geraldine coming back fast at her. Some really strong riders in that heat. It's going to be very interesting to see the final. Awesome to see some strong rides there from our under-17 girls in our scratch heats. Looking forward, we're coming up into the first round of the under-17 boys sprints.
So with the sprint format, the first 3 riders went straight through to the quarterfinals, and the rest of the riders will have to go through the first round. So that will be a knockout round, just 1 ride, and the winner will go through to the quarterfinals to meet the other 3.
What is the pressure like knowing that it's do or die?
I think similar to sprint qualifying, really, in some aspects. You just know you have to get it right, and there's no margin for error. And no matter who you're racing, whether you're top seed racing bottom seed, you race them like they've beaten you, and because there's lots of room to make mistakes in a situation like that.
So what does this first round look like from a visual standpoint, Sean? We'll have 2 riders lining up next to each other with their coaches holding them. Any last minute words from their coaches before they start?
Yeah, I'd say so. They'll do a draw down before they come onto the track, and they'll either draw rider 1 or rider 2. If you're rider 1, you'll be on the inside of the track, and you'll have to lead for the first half lap at walking pace or greater, unless the second rider wants to take the lead from them.
Absolutely, a lot of different dynamics going on here in the sprints. You see some riders wearing helmets with see-through visors, others with reflective visors, and often on the start line looking across at each other. Do you have a preference yourself?
I always like to ride a mirrored visor, but more because I find a clear visor too bright more than anything. But I know a lot of riders that prefer to run the clear because they can show their opponent where their eyes are and almost give a sense of intimidation. A lot of other riders will use mirrored visors because they don't want their opponent to see where they're going.
Exactly, don't want their opponent looking into their eyes, able to look back at them and see whether they're looking up or down the track, kind of reading them. So have our first 2 riders onto the track now. Who are they, Sean?
This is Josh Parsons from Southland and John O'Blythe of Canterbury. So Josh Parsons, the top seed in this heat. So they'll have 3 laps once they're let go by our commissaire. They'll get checked if they're okay and the whistle will be blown.
So Josh Parsons there, just opting to stay higher on the track. So he looked like he's going to come around and take that first position away from Jono.
Yep, so he's looking to keep it quite fast. A lot of the time you'll see riders take it pretty slow for the first lap or so. But the Canterbury rider wanting to take the lead and stay on the track from the get-go.
Obviously at this age with so much crossover between enduro and sprint, some riders much happier to kind of kick on from a faster speed rather than from a low speed. Do you think that's what we're seeing here?
I think so. Looks like the Canterbury rider is keen to make it go long.
Jono Blythe taking it up early, coming in for the bell. Little gap, but here comes Josh. Around the outside. Jono up on the red. Looks like Josh is going to come around him easily. The gap's going out. Going to be Josh Parsons of Canterbury taking it at the line with daylight back to Jono Blythe. So here we see the next round coming up to the start line. We have Alex Schuller of Waikato Bad Plenty in the first rider position and Leighton Reilly of West Coast North Island in second. Do we have a favourite for this one, Sean?
Alex Schuller coming in as top seed in this heat. So West Coast will have a bit of work to do after qualifying not quite as fast as Alex here. So whether he'll want to take the front or come from the back, we'll wait and see.
Final words ahead. Riders receive the whistle and they're away. Again, Leighton staying higher on the track, but Alex just holding him up, keeping him on his right shoulder. Gonna have to pick up a little bit of speed here. So, just seeing not quite enough speed there, Sean. So we just see Leighton on the wheel, just weaving from Alex's left to right, making him check both shoulders, just keeping him on his toes.
You'll see the West Coast rider staying quite close and weaving from side to side, which makes it quite hard on Alex to keep an eye on Leighton.
Alex has had enough though, and he kicks on. Immediately daylight back to Leighton. Leighton's really going to have to chase hard here coming into the bell lap. Strong acceleration from Alex Schuller though. Looks like he's put Leighton Reilly away here. Never say never though. Alex just strong through to the line.
Strong ride there by Alex Schuller, just nice and simple. Wanted to just get it over and done with, I think, and move on to the next round. So
had enough of the cat and mouse, had a look of looking over his shoulders and just really dug in there. Got the job done. So Sean, do you want to explain how the seeding works? We have the top rider that hasn't gone immediately through versus the slowest rider and so on and so forth up through the heats, or how does that work?
So the fastest 3 from qualifying went straight through to the quarterfinals and had a bye through this first round. But for this first round, all the riders will be racing. So, for example, your 4th seeded rider will be racing 13th, 5th and 12th, and so on. So once you get to the middle heats and the last heats, that's when you start getting to riders who are quite close together in regards to qualifying times. Yes. Whereas earlier on, there's quite a big difference, as we've seen so far.
So here we have Ryan Hanson of Waikato Bay Plenty in the first rider position, and we have Jack Gherkin of Auckland in the blue colours, just slightly above there. So two riders here, just happy, content to steer down, no need to look at each other for this one. See both riders happy to settle down on the blue for this one.
Ryan Hanson keeping a nice look over his right-hand shoulder, seeing what Jack Gherkin's going to do, and if Jack's going to come through to the front or try to set up a run.
So Ryan Hanson just looking to keep them rolling around, doesn't want the speed to drop off too much here. Jack just happy to let him do his thing, following about a bike length behind.
We're going to see Jack try and pin Ryan at the fence here, or see a big acceleration down the back straight, but Jack Gherkin's still in control of the sprint lane.
Jack Gherkin driving down through the underside, coming through for the lap. Looks like Ryan's trying hard to come around him. He's going to just clear him. Might see him come down to the black here. Through the final turn, daylight back to Jack, and Ryan will come through to win this heat.
Bit of a drag race there to start off with them both accelerating super well down the back straight. Ryan just coming over through the back straight and taking the win.
Absolutely, just a bit better endurance there from Ryan towards the end, but that second lap to go, just a real drag race there. We saw Jack trying to hold Ryan up on the rail. Is that a common tactic?
You see it every now and then with riders wanting to be able to out-excel their opponent and give off an intimidation aspect to the other rider. Some riders can get very uncomfortable being held close to the rail, and it can go on for quite a long time. And as the rider being held next to the rail, you either have to back out or excel as hard as you can to get out of that spot.
So just got our fourth heat up here. So looking at Liam Ramsey of Southland. Looking at Liam. Yep. Liam Ramsey of Southland in the second rider position, and Flynn Underwood there in the Waikato colours. So these two away slightly quicker. Flynn leading it out. Liam on his wheel. Flynn just pushing him up the track, but dropping back down again. Liam diving back down at him.
You'll see Liam diving back down and Flynn trying to make Flynn push the pace a little bit more.
Flynn just slowly winding the pace up a little bit here, keeping it down low, while Liam's opting to move up the track a little bit. Flynn comes up to meet him, starts to kick on a bit. Liam dives down the track, Flynn's leading it out. Liam coming around the outside with one to go. Here we go, another drag race here. Coming into the back straight, side by side. Looks like Liam has the slight advantage. Comes around him, down onto the black, coming through. Looks like he will take this heat. Another drag race with the outside rider able to come around and shut it down on the black. Strong ride there from the Southlander.
Two more heats to go in the first round of the Under-17 boys sprint competition.
So these will be the two heats where the riders have qualified relatively close to each other. So Could be seeing some really close racing here, Sean. Coming up onto the track now, we have Benjamin Stewart of, Alex Foden of Wellington and Benjamin Stewart of Auckland.
Just rolling up to the line there, getting their pedals set, and then giving the commissaire the okay before they roll off for their race.
Gentle push from both coaches and they're off straight down onto the blue.
I wonder if Chris Watts has given Alex Foden any top tips here for the sprint competition. Just see the Wellington rider wanting to take the front here after the first half lap. Look to see the Auckland rider maybe wanting to do a standstill. During this competition, the riders can do 2 30-second track stands once they've passed the first half lap. They'll get moved on by the commissaires. We've seen quite a big amount of long track stands in the past, but they've been shortened to 30 seconds.
So here we have Alex leading it out. Looks like Ben coming around him, coming into the final lap. Ben just clearing Alex. Daylight, but looks like Alex might come back at him here. Maybe a little bit, but not enough. Ben takes it at the line.
Nice ride there from Benjamin Stewart with a nice acceleration through the front straight with 1 lap to go and just passed Alex in the back straight and went on to the win. 1 heat to go now in the under-17 boys sprint competition for the first round. We've got Cooper Johnson and George Manson. This will be the closest heat of them all with both of these riders qualifying in very similar times. George Manson qualifying in 12.2 and Cooper Johnson qualifying in 12.1. Just see Cooper down there getting his last minute tips from Jason Craig, and George Manson getting some tips from Lance Spencer as they roll onto the track. Lance Spencer, formerly from the Tasman region, but has switched over to the Southland team in the last few years, taken some knowledge down there.
So here we see a good example of Cooper Johnson in the clear visor and George Manson in a mirrored visor. So here we see Cooper looking back at George. Just really slowly around the track. Going to drop down onto the blue here.
Cooper with the advantage of the sprint qualifying, but hasn't done much sprinting indoors compared to probably the likes of George coming from Southland and racing indoors a lot. So it'll be interesting to see if the experience of George can get over the speed of Cooper.
Yeah, see if he can use those embankments to his advantage. Probably looking to see him go high up the track. For now, though, both riders content to keep it down by the red. Coming through to the bell, still riding at quite a slow tempo. Look forward to seeing a big kick here. Cooper just pushing him up the track a little bit.
Matter of acceleration here. Obviously Cooper didn't quite see the acceleration when he needed to, so I wonder if he can come back. He's still got the shortest way down the track.
Oh, looks like George maybe just coming down a little bit early there.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for a calm decision on that.
Cooper just being pushed down onto the blue coming out of the final turn there. So we're just hearing now that George Manson is going to be relegated from that heat with Cooper Johnson going through. Reason for that is he's just come down too quickly onto the black and forced Cooper low onto the blue.
As the rider in the sprint lane between the red and the black, they have full control of the sprint lane until the rider coming around has full clearance in front of that rider's front wheel. And George just came down a little bit too early, which has resulted in a relegation, and Cooper will now go through to the next round. So we've just had communications from the commissaires here just saying that rider 132, George Manson, has been relegated for moving into the sprinters lane, forcing rider 135, Cooper Johnson, off the track. So just confirming Cooper Johnson will go through to the next round. So just seeing now at the end of that first round of sprints, moving on to the under-17 boys scratch race, 5,000 metres. So here we are, under-17 boys scratch race heats, 5,000 metres here, heat 1 at the Track National Championships. Seeing all of the boys roll around up onto the rail. Do you expect to see any boys fresh out of that heat, those sprint heats, coming across straight into a scratch race, Sean? Lots of those riders in these heats that have just come from the sprint, so they're in for a big day ahead.
Sweet, so just looking at all the riders lined up on the rail here. On the front, we have Nate Bowness of Auckland, strong rider. Jamie Cantel-Roberts of Auckland in second there. Bernard Pawson of Auckland. Josh Parsons of Canterbury, Wolf Penne of Canterbury, John O'Blythe, Southland, Finn Edwards, Southland, Liam Ramsey, Southland, Kane Foster, Waikato Bad Plenty, Sterling Jarnell, Waikato Bay Plenty. Kyle Paris, Waikato Bay Plenty. Flynn Underwood, Waikato Bay Plenty. And Alex Foden at the back from Wellington. Just had communications that this race is just being held for a minute, so stay with us.
We see Alex Foden down there, the only rider in this race without another rider from the same centre, so he might have to use some of the other teams to get himself through or be the underdog here. Just fresh off the track from the first round of sprints, so hopefully he's just nice and warmed up and not too tired.
How many riders are we looking to eliminate from this heat, Sean?
I think, just double check. So there's 2 heats, 26 riders in each heat, and top 9 will go through from each heat, so we'll have 18 in the final. Not quite the same as the women's race where they were eliminating 1 rider.
You can see Nate Bonnes there at the front, just checking out who's behind him. Seeing what the lineup is. A few smiles from the boys, a few serious faces as well. Do we expect to see an aggressive race here or another race similar to the women's?
I think we'll see some riders being still pretty conservative, especially the ones still racing the sprints. Others will be looking for just a clean run into the final, and some others here might not be so fast at the finish, so we'll have to put themselves out there a bit earlier on, since there's a few more riders that are going to miss out this time.
Yeah, it could potentially be a very fast heat. We've got some fast riders in there. Nate Bonnes, Wolf Penne, Kane Foster, all very fast riders. Could look to drive the pace on here and put a few of the other riders in difficulty towards the back end of this. So we see Kane Foster just leading them through for the gun. Nate Bonnes just rolling through onto the front here. Southland rider Liam Ramsey just climbing the embankment a bit, checking out who's around him, deciding where he wants to slot in this group. Nate Bonnes just pulling up there, superseded by Southland rider 130. That's Finn Edwards. He swings up, another Auckland rider coming through now.
A few riders here jostling for position, not really wanting to do too much on the front, which suggests that they want to wait for the sprint at the finish.
Wolf Penne, after a big effort yesterday, just swinging up, not wanting to pull too much here. Kane Foster hits the front again, just rolling through steadily. So we have Canterbury rider just hitting the front now. Looking to push the pace on a little bit. You can see the group thinning out. A few gaps opening up there towards the back. Who is this rider? 124. Josh Parsons pushing the pace on. Wolf Penne just sitting out in the wind a little bit, looking for a wheel, looking for somewhere to slot in.
Nate through the bend, just putting in a big acceleration and straying out the bunch. Few people hanging off the back, just trying to hold on.
Kane Foster taking up the work, happy to keep the pace on. He swings up. Southland rider doesn't want to stay on the front for too long. He swings. A lot of riders here, happy to pull, but not for too long. Bernard Pawson just hits the front. Nate again just swinging up. Kane Foster hits the front. Looking over his shoulder, he pulls up. Just seeing Waikato rider Flynn Underwood, little gap there, but just wanting to pull up, not willing to kind of push on with 11 laps remaining.
So 4 riders will miss out in these heats. So everyone will be looking forward to trying to make some moves and not be in those last 4.
Yeah, certainly not a safe place to be in the back half of the group. Look for a few riders to lead this out hard, maybe kick on early with maybe 5 laps to go. I'm going to see the pace really ramp up here towards the end.
Really important to have good positioning through there when the pace does start to climb, because as it starts to get faster and the bunch gets more strung out, it's harder to make up ground on the front markers.
You see Kane Foster following Nate Burness up the track there, not wanting to hit the front too early. Little grouping there with Wolf Penne, Nate Burness, Kane Foster kind of in the same area. Just seeing Penne moving forward though, he wants to be towards the front. Seeing the other 2 towards the back end, going to be interesting to see how this dynamic changes. 7 laps remaining. Little gap opening up there, but nobody really wanting to push on. Nate Burness comes through, pushing the pace. See some of the group going backwards and some others accelerating forward.
Common to see some of the weaker riders looking to the stronger ones for some leadership and a tow through to the finish.
There we go, pace starting to ramp now. About 5.5 laps remaining. Southland riders hitting the front here. Canterbury rider hits the front. Josh Parsons just pushing the pace on. He swings up. Nate Burness not happy to carry it through. He swings up. Seeing some surgy pace here. Nobody really wanting to take up the work with 5 to go. We're going to see this surge through really hard here. Sorry, no, not the right rider there. 139. Sterling Jarnell. He swings up after a short stint on the front. Wellington rider Alex Fodden looking to lead this one out from the front. No teammates for him. Nate Burness just sitting 4th to last wheel there. He looks to accelerate, coming down the front straight. Moves up to 5th wheel, 6th wheel, hitting mid-pack. He's coming around the outside, watch this. Alex Fodden strong here, he's pushing on. What do we think, Sean? Coming into 2 laps remaining.
Alex will want to stay in that position now and try to hold on the best he can. It's just too late in the race for him to swing up and lose potential placings. But as you can see, that sprint from Nate was so hard for the others to follow because he's so fast, and that will just only get more and more through the rest of the race.
1 lap remaining, he's still near the front, but look, he's going to get swamped here. 5, 6, 7, 8 riders coming around him now, and he's drifting back into that dangerous zone. Still got the black though. Southland rider accelerating away. Kane Foster following. Nate Burness 3rd position. Where's Wolf Penne? Wolf Penne just safe. He's happy sitting in mid-group.
So we see Flynn Edwards taking the win in the first heat of the men's scratch race. Kane Foster in 2nd.
That looked like 2 Southland riders in danger towards the end there, I think. Going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. Did you see how Alex Fodden fared there at the end, Sean? Going to be interesting to see. He led that from a long way out, and you just saw he paid the price there towards the end of that last lap. Swamped going into the final lap. Riders just doing a few laps here, just cooling down, relaxing from that effort. So coming up next, we have the second heat of the under-17 boys scratch race, 5,000 metre. Just seeing them enter on the right side of your screen, slowly rolling up onto the track. So just seeing the riders on the left of your screen coming up onto the rail. Are these riders seated, Sean? Do they get to choose where they position themselves on the rail, or are they just told where they're going to be?
So if they're following the start list, they should be in line according to the start list.
Okay, so just trying the riders now. So we have Lucas Bimmy here on the front of Auckland, Hunter Dalton of Auckland as well, followed by a trio of couple of Canterbury riders, Matthew Davidson, Lucas Sanders, some Southland riders behind them, Kane Borry, Magnus Jameson, Frankie Thompson, followed by a Tasman rider, Cooper Johnson, followed by the Waikato group behind him, made up of Jack Eva, Ryan Hanson, Luca Moran, and Josh Rowe, with a West Coast North Island rider, Leighton Reilly, and Zane Wiley behind him of Auckland. Good luck, boys.
Again, another few sprinters in this heat who might be looking to get a tow through to the finish and just make their way through then.
See Zane Wiley there, just happy to push on, get away from the back of the group there and move into the kind of mid-bunch position. In that last race, we saw quite a consistent tempo, riders just willing to sit in, roll up. Nobody really wanting to push pace too early. Do you think we'll see that again here, Sean, or do you think somebody might be willing to send it out early, maybe take a couple of riders with them?
In the first heat, we saw a few surges, but no one really willing to commit to anything, which is to be expected. No one wants to waste any unnecessary energy. But as I said again, we've got a few sprinters in here who are part of the sprint competition. We'll be looking to conserve energy, and others will just be focusing on the scratch race. So pace is a bit quicker than the other heat so far.
The boys getting into their work. Zane Wiley, I think, just rolling off the front there, followed up by a couple of the Waikato riders. Small figure of Josh Rowe just coming through, swinging up, followed by one of the Canterbury riders here. And we saw Kane Borry just with a little gap there, but not willing to take that up as we see. Just wanted to conserve his energy. He swings up. Canterbury rider follows him. One of the Southland riders just willing to dig a little bit here, put a little bit of pressure on. You see a split towards the back end. Canterbury rider trying to close that down. Damage being done by Frankie Thompson of Southland. He swings up. Auckland rider's not happy, but Nelson rider, Tasman rider is going to follow him through. Cooper Johnson. He's already got some fatigue in the legs. He doesn't want to dig too hard either. Magnus, dangerous rider, hits the front. He swings up. Base is on for this one, Sean. 14 laps remaining.
We see Magnus Jameson, winner of the individual pursuit and elimination yesterday. Very strong rider. Also suggests he's got a good sprint on him, so could be good for a scratch race win later.
Just a really strong all-round rider is Magnus. One of the few riders on an alloy bike in that group as well by the looks of things.
On the Genius. Genius was my first track bike.
Served you well, did it?
I crashed it actually.
A sad end to the Genius then.
Yeah, I had a good few races on that first, and I've turned it into a fixie. But yeah, it served me well. It was super light. We always had to put weights in it to get it over the weight limit.
Oh, so no handicap then for Magnus. Here we go, Auckland rider, 115, willing to push it on. That's Hunter Dalton, just asking some questions. He flicks up. Auckland rider behind him, not willing to carry it through. Magnus hits the front and drives it down the back straight. A few riders going backwards there towards the end. Looks like a group of 5 or 6. They're in trouble here. 10 laps to go. Somebody needs to shut that down. Pace is not coming off on the front as well. Auckland rider is driving it through. He's going to swing up. Will Cooper carry it through? No, he swings up. And the riders at the front start looking at each other, and the group behind comes back. 2 riders just distanced though.
So 5 riders will miss out in this heat. There was 4 in the last. Just an extra rider in this heat.
These 2 riders at the back just needs to keep pushing. This group may sit up soon. Canterbury rider hits the front. Bit of a split there in the middle. He just needs to drive this on now. He'll look over his shoulder and see he's already got a sizable gap. 7 laps to go, Sean. He's going to dig himself a bit of a hole here.
Looks to be Matthew Davidson. Just giving it a wee nudge. Maybe he can just sit at a nice tempo and keep an eye on the bunch and stay out of any chaos at the finish.
Yeah, with any luck, the group will carry on looking at each other and he can just ride his own tempo. Although as a heat, there's always a risk, especially when there's some desperation towards the back of the group. You don't want to get caught up in an accident where you don't need to. Got a sizable gap here. Just head down, he's digging on. Magnus behind though, he's putting in a hard effort here. Lucas Bimmy on as well. Magnus is going to pull up, Lucas is going to push on. He puts his head down and drives down the back straight. He pulls up, Waikato rider follows him through. He swings up. Auckland rider flicks his elbow. 138. Ryan Hanson, he's not happy to take that up either. Cooper hits the front now. Matthew Davidson might just be putting out a bit more effort than he wanted to here, but he's committed. 3 laps to go, there's no point in sitting up now. He's already expended all this energy, he may as well just finish it off. Group behind him sat up again, so hopefully he'll be able to just settle in for his last 2 laps.
500 metres to go now, so he'll be coming around for the bell next time. I think he's done enough just to hold off the bunch and have a safe ticket through to the final.
So we see 1 rider off the back, 1 rider well distanced, so 3 at the back now. Coming into the bell, we see Cooper distance just off the back of the group. He's going to need to come through strongly here. Might be in trouble. A couple of Auckland riders and a Waikato rider down the back. We now have 4 riders distance, so the last rider at the back of this group is going to be eliminated along with those 4. Looks to be Auckland rider 122. Zane Wiley, that was. So Zane Wiley, Cooper of Tasman, the West Coast North Island rider, one of the Waikato riders, 2 of the Waikato riders, I believe. Looking to get those results to you when we get them. So big effort there, 7 laps for Matthew Davidson. He's going to want to go and sit down and recover now for that final later on. So that includes our under-17 boys scratch race heats. From those 2 heats, we will see a total of 18 riders go through to the final. Congratulations to all riders that have gone through. To those that didn't, rest up, recover. Plenty more opportunities this week. Looking forward, we have the under-17 boys sprint quarterfinals coming up, followed by the under-15 girls points race final, and the under-17 boys sprint semi-finals as well later on. We're just going to take a short break. We'll be back with you shortly. So here we have the under-17 boys sprint quarterfinals, the first round. We see Nate Boness of Auckland up on the start line, and we see Cooper Johnson fresh out of that scratch race coming up from Tasman.
Yeah, we see Cooper Johnson coming straight out of the scratch race, and he went straight into the scratch race from his first round of the sprint, so he's kind of been non-stop this morning. We'll have a bit of work to do up against top seed Nate Boness.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough ride for sure.
You see Nate there in full focus. Cooper just out of the seat there, staying high on the track. He's in a pretty good position at the moment.
What do you think's going through Cooper's mind right now? He's got a fair bit of fatigue in the legs. He's happy to go to the front.
I think as these boys get faster, they'll be wanting to make the most of the slipstream coming from the back, just because they're on such small gears and restricted. As soon as you get up to speed, it's harder to go any faster on those gears, so really making the most of that draft from the other rider if you're accelerating into the slipstream can make so much of a difference.
You're really hitting the back of the rider in front of you and using that slingshot to come around them.
In a few of the earlier rounds, we saw quite a few little drag races just because we see Nate here getting a bit of height now. Cooper will have to accelerate hard after that big excel off the banking for Nate.
Nate comes around the outside. Cooper holding him up there for a second. Looks like Nate's going to clear him, come down to the black here. Cooper just too much fatigue in the legs. Nate's going to come through for a comfortable win here.
So sprint quarterfinals, the winner will go straight to the semi-finals where they'll start their best of 3 rounds. But for now, it's still a knockout.
Still sudden death.
So Cooper can pack up for the morning, go home and recover, ready for tomorrow. Just walking onto the track now, we have Wolf Penne and Benjamin Stewart. Wolf of Canterbury and Benjamin of Auckland, so both from outdoor tracks. Terry Jide there giving some advice to Wolf Penne, getting his feet in the right position, ready for the start of the race.
Wolf Penne qualified about 0.7, 0.8 of a second faster than Ben here, so has to be the favourite going into this. So we see Wolf just giving Ben a bit of space there. So that's so if Ben kicks, Wolf's kind of got a wheel to chase, a space to move into as he accelerates onto the back wheel there.
Benjamin Stewart just happy to keep it nice and slow. We saw a similar ride in the first round, and here comes Wolf on underneath him.
Wolf looked happy to shut him up on the rail there, but Ben just accelerating briefly, didn't really want to be stuffed up there. Yeah, Ben accelerates, doesn't want to be held up. Wolf drops to the black, accelerates away. Ben's going to come down onto his wheel with 1 lap remaining. He's tied on him. It's going to be a close one here.
Ben will have a nice wheel to run out here, but Wolf is very fast. But here comes the move from Benjamin. Will it be enough to get around Wolf?
Looks like Wolf's just going to hold on here. See the riders on those restricted gears. Almost beneficial to lead it out. Once you get to that top end, there's not much more to push. Trying to come out of that slipstream and come around out of that final bend. Really challenging on that smaller gear. So we see Wolf Penne moving through to the next round. Quite a fast one there, 58 kilometres an hour.
Heat 3 of the Under-17 boys sprint quarterfinals. The riders are being rolled onto the track by Lance Spencer and Hamish Ferguson, both quality coaches, and have done a lot of pushing their riders onto the track over the years. No doubt a few sore hamstrings over the time.
Talk a lot about the riders' training schedules. Can you tell me about the coaches' training schedules?
A lot of pushing.
A lot of time in the gym, you reckon? Pushing some iron, getting ready for these big heavy riders. Sprinters notoriously a bit bigger than the enduros, even in the under-17s, you think?
Exactly, lots of muscle mass.
Yep.
And not just the pushing, getting up and lifting the rider to get their pedals in the right position, and lots of hard work there.
Seeing as we've got the under-15s, under-17s, with the elites and under-19s this year, I think next year we could add the coaches in as well. Get a few of them on a bike.
Yeah, I'd be keen to see a coach's kilo.
Might get a couple of the riders to push one of the coaches up. Give them a taste of their own medicine, you think?
Might see a bit of a domino effect if we let that happen.
So we see here Liam Ramsey just willing to lead out Josh, sitting on the front, rolling around the track slowly.
Josh Parsons of Canterbury staying nice and close to the back wheel of Liam Ramsey. Can be quite annoying as the front rider to have someone hard on your wheel. But we see here the Southland rider gaining a bit of height and accelerating off the banking while the Canterbury rider stays low. So how will that speed affect the rest of the race?
Liam coming around Josh here. Josh just able to hold on through the bottom there. Liam's going to latch back onto his wheel, make another run at him here through the next embankment. Coming into the final straight. He's coming at him.
We look over the shoulder there, but the Canterbury rider takes the win and will go through to the semi-finals.
Yeah, I think Josh thought he had Liam done there, thought he had him put away, looked over his shoulder, got a little bit of a nasty surprise. I think he got lucky that Liam was on his limit already.
That will look to be a full Canterbury semi-final, as the winner of Heat 2 and Heat 3 will meet up together, which will be Wolf Pena and Josh Parsons.
Speaking of, we see some in-centre violence here with Waikato on Waikato in this heat with Alex Schuller and Ryan Hanson here. Alex on the bottom, Ryan on the top. Two riders that probably spend a lot of time riding against each other, probably know each other well, know each other's strengths. We'll see how this one unfolds.
You'll see both of these riders running, this is the first year under-17s have been able to run carbon rims at a national championship event. So they're both repping the Don't Stop Pedaling 45mm wheels. It'll be interesting to see over the years how this affects the national record books, as opposed to when we used to just be able to run alloy rims.
Yeah, how much benefit are you gaining from 45mm carbon rims versus just the old spokies?
Alloy is known to be quite flimsy, so with a bit of extra stability, probably a bit more power transfer going through the wheels and a bit more direct rather than some flimsy alloy. Big acceleration from both of the Waikato riders here. Probably going to be a drag race through this last lap. Alex Schuller just on the front at the moment. Ryan Hanson will be looking to make a pass. Both spinning very fast.
Ryan Hanson looking to come around the outside now.
Just been stuck on the outside for a long time now, going the long way. Can Alex hold Ryan off?
Gonna be close. Alex holds on for the win there.
Very fast ride from both of the Waikato riders, and good to see some friendly rivalry on the track. That will put Alex Schuller through to the semi-final, who will meet with Nate Bowness. Two good semi-final heats coming up.
Just off screen there, we saw the riders shake hands. Awesome to see. Two riders that obviously know each other well and race together a lot. So there we see the conclusion of the sprint competition quarterfinals for the under-17 boys. Going through, we have Nate Bowness, Wolf Pena, Josh Parsons, and Alex Schuller going through to the semis. So just preparing now for our under-15 girls points race final. It's a straight final. Just going to hand you over to Sean now, who's going to explain how the points race works.
So there is 9 riders in this under-15 girls points race. It's 30 laps. They'll have a sprint every 10, so that'll give them 4 sprints. and riders over the line will receive the points: 5 for first, 3 for second, 2 for third, and 1 point for fourth place. The rider with the most points at the end of the race will win and be your new national champion. The commissaire will always point to the front of the race if you get lost while on screen. But should see a good few sprints here from these under 15 girls getting that gear going.
I imagine a lot of these girls probably haven't raced many points races, so it could be a new concept to a few of them.
For a lot of these riders, this could be their first national championships, or if they're anything like me, my first indoor race was national track champs. So,
so you think pressure on they'll have sent out with instructions from their coaches. A lot to keep in mind though, so it'll be interesting to see who can kind of keep in mind what their job is and what they need to get done in this race.
Yeah, whether some of the riders want to gain points early, gain points in all sprints, or wait till the last 2 sprints and pip some of the riders that may be a bit more tired from going hard early. There's so many options.
Exactly, a lot of tactics at play in this one. So just seeing all the girls lined up on the rail for the under 15 girls points race final here at Track National Championships. Just getting the order sorted. First up, we have Auckland rider Nina Worrell, Canterbury rider Shayla Sayers, Mid-South Canterbury rider Olivia Ewing, Southland rider Emily Forsyth, Waikato rider Pearl Brodie, West Coast North Island Piper Newton, Canterbury rider Lizzie Thompson, Poppy McIver of Southland, and Waikato Babylini rider Kendrick Gray. 30 laps, girls are away.
We see Kendrick Gray at the back of the bunch here, the Waikato rider. Another one of the siblings in this velodrome today, sister to Kaylin Gray and Shauna Gray. Kaylin in the under 17 girls and Shauna Gray in the under 19 women. So the sisters are out here today. I wonder how much silverware they'll have to take home at the end of this week.
Yeah, a really strong family of girls there. So seeing the girls content to just roll around here for a while. When are we going to see the first bell lap, Sean?
We'll see the bell come at 20... They'll get the bell on 21 laps to go and gain points finishing the lap with 20 laps to go.
So a few laps to kill here. Riders kind of feeling.
So sprints every 7 laps. The first bell will go with 22 laps to go. And you'll see the first lot of points come up on the board, and we'll have our first leader of the race.
So we just see three wide at the front here. Riders just happy to stay near the front, keep an eye on what's going on around them. Southland riders having a little bit of a dig here. Acceleration in the group. On West Coast North Island rider, getting distance there at the back. I don't think this pace is going to be sustained for very long though. 2:05. Rider Emily Forsyth of Southland really digging on here. Got a little separation here. Two Canterbury riders and Emily just getting off the front. Got a Southland rider chasing though. No team tactics here at under 15 level. Really good to see, just drag racing here. So we have, looks like Schuller Sayers, one of the Canterbury riders, and Emily in the Southland colours. One of the Southland riders just pulling that back though. Looks like we're going to be all back together for the first bell lap on 22 to go. Here we see the bell, 2:03. Olivia Ewing just moving around to the front. Canterbury rider's not going to let that happen though, and really kicks on.
Canterbury rider Schuller Sayers will be looking to take the first 5 points. Southland rider will come through for 3.
Ooh, maybe just pipped at the line there by Olivia Ewing of Mid-South Canterbury. Not sure who picked up that final point. We'll see the points update in a minute and we'll pass that along to you guys. Seeing everybody just settling back into their work again, feeling each other out after that first sprint. So just seeing the scoreboard there with Schuller Sayers taking the first sprint, followed by Olivia Ewing pipping Emily Forsyth at the line there for the 3 points, and Lizzie bringing up the rear for the 1 point.
Girls all bunched back together now. They'll receive the next bell lap with 15 to go. Another 4 laps until they have to sprint again. West Coast rider just rejoining to the back of the pack just now.
Nobody really willing to take up the pace here. 3, 4 wide. They're coming into 18 laps to go.
Just getting a bit of recovery in before they have to sprint again, I think. Canterbury taking control again.
Things stretching out a little bit here. Riders easily find themselves down the back. There's a little bit of distance to make up if they're not careful.
Canterbury rider Lizzie Thompson on the front at the moment with the Aucklander on her wheel, Nina Worrell. And the rest of the bunch just looking to follow those two for now. Kendra Gray in there looking to gain some more points because she hasn't just yet. We're looking to get herself onto the scoreboard and they'll get the bell next time.
A bit of an acceleration coming around the top there from the Canterbury rider. That's 2:02. Lizzie Thompson really accelerating here. 3 wide coming in for the bell. 4 wide even coming in for the bell.
Nice acceleration there from Olivia Ewing.
You want to be early. Stayed a little bit high on the track.
Kendra Gray just coming underneath there, maybe just being pushed out by the Mid-South Canterbury rider.
Lizzie Thompson coming in with a nice lead here. She's going to take the 5 points. It's like Olivia Ewing just getting pipped there for that 4th place, so she might not pick up any points this lap. Give you a summary of those points when we receive it.
Schuller Sayers getting maximum points again in the second sprint, so that moves her up to 10 and keeps her in the lead of the race.
Looking to build a little buffer here early on. Again, an opportunity here for the riders to just relax for a minute. Group comes back together, a few deep breaths and get set. Maybe check the points, see where they're sitting, see who's around them. see what kind of work they need to do coming into the final few laps.
Wonder if any of these under 15 girls here want to have a chance at taking a lap of the bunch. If they gain a lap, they'll gain 20 points.
Got the scoreboard up here. Total, Schuller Sayers with a sizable lead over Ewing in second with 3 points. 3 riders actually, Emily Forsyth, Kendra Gray all on 3, with Poppy McIver on 2, Lizzie Thompson on 1. Those are all of our riders with points so far. 3 points laps to go. 11 total.
Just bunched up nicely again at the moment, a couple more laps until their penultimate sprint of this under 15 girls points race final.
Seeing the riders here coming through with 9 laps to go. Next lap through, they will receive the bell for their penultimate bell lap.
Lizzie Thompson now just accelerating down the back straight. Coming through for the bell now. Shayla Sayers takes the front again. Will she get max points? She's very fast. She's got the Southland riders chasing after her.
Looks like that lead's just going to be too much to overcome though, and she's going to pick up maximum points again this time through. So that will be Shayla through to 15 points.
Seven laps to go now. Just the final sprint to go.
So again, Shayla Sayers taking 5 points, followed by Emily Forsyth, Poppy McIver and Pearl Brody coming up. And so as we said, Shayla Sayers, sizable lead there ahead of Emily Forsyth, behind on 6 points, 9 points clear. Poppy McIver on 4, Olivia Ewing on 3, Kendra Gray on 3, Pearl Brody on 1 and Lizzie Thompson on 1. So going to be a bit of a fight there for second and third positions. Double points on the last lap, is it, Sean? I guess we'll see. Yep, so that's confirmed. Double points on the final lap. I'm sure somebody will tell me if I'm wrong. Look forward to seeing your messages. 4 laps to go. Canterbury riders digging on the front. I believe that's Shayla Sayers again.
Lizzie Thompson just giving Shayla a nice lead out here. Whether she'll follow through or keep protecting her Canterbury teammate. With double points on the last lap, it will change things up a little bit and get a few other riders maybe into a podium spot if they come through for the win.
Emily Forsyth of Southland could even come through for the win. But from the looks of the first 3 sprints, that's unlikely. I don't think Shayla's going to give up those first 4 positions.
Coming through for the bell now with the final sprint. We've got the 2 Canterbury riders on the front and Shayla Sayers coming around the outside. She's been dominant in this points race. She got enough to win the final sprint.
Southland rider coming around the outside though. Coming through.
Emily Forsyth coming in to take mixed points. So Emily will take the 10.
Ooh.
Shayla maybe just pipped by the other Southland rider on the outside there. But that will be enough for Shayla Sayers to be your new national champion.
Going to be close to see who the rest of our medals are though. I believe that will stay as is with Emily Forsyth in second and Poppy McIver in third, but waiting for confirmation. So just seeing on screen, our new national champion, Shayla Sayers, really strong throughout that race. Built out a nice points buffer, came home strong, did enough to take it in the end. Really impressive.
Shayla Sayers, 2 gold medals yesterday and another one to add to the tally today. Very exciting for the young rider.
Yeah, dominant performances will be interesting to see her coming through in the following years to come. You can see the riders just exiting the track at the moment. You see off to the right of your frame the 2 Southland riders who probably just receiving confirmation of the final points. So Shayla Sayers taking the win with 19 points. Emily Forsyth closing that gap on 16 points, and Poppy McIver on 10, followed by Lizzie Thompson, Kendra Gray and Olivia Ewing on 3 points, and Brady Pearl rounding out the top 7 with 1 point. And you can see our 2 Southland medalists just rolling to the end of, or to the middle of the track here, about to exit. Strong race for the South Islanders there. So that concludes our under 15 girls points race final. Just taking a short break now while the boys get prepared for the sprint semi-finals. Sorry, just a quick correction. We have the under... No, sorry, we are going ahead with the under 17 boys sprint semi-finals. In frame, you can see our under 15 boys warming up as well, so we'll see them soon. So, track national championships, under 17 boys sprint semi-finals now. First ride is Nate Boness against Alex Schuller of Waikato.
Entering into the sprint semi-finals now, we go to the best of 3 rides instead of a knockout round. So whoever loses this ride will have another chance to even the tally and then potentially go to a deciding round later on in the competition. If you win straight 2 rides, you'll go straight through to the final and race for the gold medal. The loser will race for bronze.
Slightly less luck involved in this one now. Means that even if the slightly less strong rider takes one up on the dominant rider in the group, he's got 2 more rides to come back at him. So a mixture of strength and consistency. Luck always plays a part though.
Alex Schuller on the front here. I know his sister Jess is coached by Eddie Dawkins, so I wonder if he has also had a helping hand with some tactics and racecraft. But Nate Boness just at the back here, just coming onto the track.
A great mentor to have, no doubt, if indeed he is getting instructions. Both riders happy to just take it slowly here and no rush.
Nate looking pretty keen to come from the back, and Alex not looking to force Nate through to the front, so they'll come through to the bell next time.
Both riders with a bit of fatigue in their legs. Quite a lot happening yesterday morning and this morning as well. You think accelerating from a slow speed slightly harder than kicking on from kind of medium high speed?
Depends what your strengths are, I guess, but most of these riders will be so used to doing so many different things. Possibly that immediate acceleration is going to take quite a bit of fatigue out of the legs, but
Alex Schuller kicking on now.
we see now Nate setting up a run into the back of Alex Schuller, just looking to pass through the final bend.
Oh, Alex holding him though. It's going to be really close. Coming off the embankment, here comes Nate. Oh, gets him at the line. That was tight, looking forward to the next ride. Alex forcing Nate to take the long way around there and really just making him work for it all the way to the line. It's a lot of effort exerted though.
It's hard to come around the outside on those small gears, especially if you come into the corner in the wrong place and you end up travelling so much further than the rider at the bottom of the track. But the first ride will go to Nate. Alex will have to try and win the next round if he wants any chance of racing for the national title.
So we have Canterbury on Canterbury here with Wolf Penne already lined up on top and Josh Parsons just beneath him there.
See the handlers Terry Jide holding on to Wolf and Hamish Ferguson holding on to Josh Parsons. Both very experienced coaches, and Ferg with a very good coaching background with sprinting. These riders will have some good advice, so no doubt we'll see a good race here.
Yeah, again, two riders that have spent a lot of time racing against each other at Denton Park, I imagine.
Josh Parsons is like to bring it in reasonably fast. I think Wolf has a pretty good acceleration, so could be a clash of strengths here, and will be interesting to see how they ride against each other.
Yeah, Wolf in the black helmet, just content with sitting back for now, letting Josh dictate how this is going to unfold. Josh in the white helmet dives to the bottom. Wolf follows him, kicking on, going to get the bell this time around. Wolf coming around the outside immediately. He's going to shut him down onto the black here as soon as he's cleared him. Josh going to have to chase hard here. Looks like he's coming back at Wolf maybe.
Might have just let the gap go a little bit too far, but I think Josh has some good speed there. Wolf will take the first round, but I think Josh will have a good chance at evening out the playing field in the next round.
Wolf with some excellent acceleration there coming around the outside with a full lap to go and really just opening that gap out. Josh unable to shut that down, maybe just dangling too far back for that slipstream to really suck him back onto Wolf's wheel. Right, replay here. That's the gap. Josh just not quite able to come back. Wolf swinging out a little bit on that final corner, but hitting the line with daylight between him and Josh. Fast one there, 2 kilometres an hour, almost faster than the last final, so semi-final, sorry. Looking forward now, just seeing those two riders coming in together. So just seeing our under 15 boys points race final now. Our riders rolling out onto the track, coming up to the rail. This is a straight final, so the rider that wins this will take home the national championship. Sweet. So we're looking at the start list here. Got David Kwan of Auckland on the front, strong rider. James Arroyo of Canterbury behind him. Jesse Johnston of Mid-South Canterbury. Lachlan Kelly of Southland. Carter Payne of Waikato. Josh Hannon of West Coast North Island. Aucklander Hunter Ballard. Connor Toomey, Mid-South Canterbury. Oscar McIver of Southland. Jamie Henderson of Waikato. Zach Wallet of West Coast North Island. Dylan Rowe of Waikato. Ben Murphy of West Coast North Island. And Nicholas Smith of Waikato on the back there. Whistle and our boys are away. Good sized field for this one. Looks to be 14 riders. So the boys will come around here for their first of one neutral lap. They'll receive the gun. Looks like everyone is well bunched up. Nobody at too much of a disadvantage down the back there.
So the under 15 boys underway now for their points race. They'll get the first sprint lap at 22 laps to go. They'll get the bell. See the rider from West Coast making a move at the moment, pushing the pace, stringing up the bunch.
He'll be happy that the Auckland riders come with him. Not so happy to see the Canterbury rider behind that, just shutting it down. Waikato rider there, happy to carry the pace on. He's going to swing up here. West Coast North Island rider's going to stay down. He's going to pull through. Happy to just let that pace ease off a bit, keeping an eye over his right shoulder. Let things relax again.
Jesse Johnston leading at the moment from Mid-South Canterbury. Solo, actually he's got a teammate in there, 2 Mid-South Canterbury riders. Bit of a move coming from the outside now with the Mid-South Canterbury rider taking an Aucklander and Canterbury rider with him. They're going to dip down now and try and make a bit of a breakaway. Remember, if these riders take a lap on the bunch, they gain 20 points. Although it doesn't look like it's going to be anything so far. A couple more laps till their first sprint.
Waikato rider just holding them up, not allowing them to dive down to the black. Keeping the pace on for the group as well, so they're not allowed to slip away. Mid-South Canterbury rider content then just to pull for a little while on the front. Swings up.
Just the Waikato rider, Carter Payne, staying reasonably in control. They're going to come through for the bell in a couple laps' time.
They hear the bell now, 22 laps to go. Potential 5 points on offer. Remember, 5 for first, 3 for second, 2 for third, and 1 for fourth.
Still Carter Payne on the front.
West Coast North Island rider challenging here. He's going to come around him. Auckland rider also going to get him at the line. Carter Payne looking to just carry this pace on a little bit, maybe stretch things out. He swings up. Auckland rider's going to carry it through. A few riders distance towards the back there. Looks like it's just going to ease up and all the riders are going to come back together here. Riders will just take a few laps here, take some deep breaths, look at each other, figure out who took all the points that lap. Carter Payne doing a lot of work there, only for third in that sprint. He'll look to pick up a few more points coming into the next bell lap.
See Carter Payne's dad, Damien Payne, standing down in the centre of the track. Very experienced coach around the Waikato, and wonder what advice he's given to his son Carter.
So just seeing Ben Murphy in first, David Kwan in second, Carter Payne in third, and Zach Wallet rounding out the points in fourth. David Kwan, a strong rider. We saw him ride well yesterday. He'll be one to keep an eye on. Good to see the two Waikato riders there, 189 and 190. Riders Dylan Rowe and Nicholas Smith. Size doesn't have to be a limiting factor, those boys mixing it up on the front, despite being some of the smallest boys in that group. Mid-South Canterbury rider here, digging on a bit. Connor Toomey, that is. Just asking some questions of the riders that are perhaps hanging a bit too close to the back. Nobody really willing to help him do some work though. Canterbury rider comes through and just allowing the pace to settle again. Going to receive the bell here. Connor Toomey's going to have to go again. 4 wide coming through, start finish.
Carter Payne just coming around the outside here in a battle with the West Coast rider, and the Aucklander coming around the outside.
Big acceleration from the West Coast North
Bit of
Island
an overlap
rider,
of the wheels back there.
Looks like David Kwan on the wheel there. He's just going to settle for second, I think. West Coast North Island rider Zach Wallet taking the points. No. Sorry, I may be wrong on that. We'll hold for the results.
David with some good speed out there. Won the 500 metre time trial yesterday. Wonder how his endurance is through a points race with repeated efforts.
Sorry, West Coast North Island rider Ben Murphy. So Ben Murphy taking the points, David Kwan again in second, Carter Payne in third again. Total points are Ben Murphy on 10, David Kwan on 6, Carter Payne with 4 points, and Connor Toomey and Zach Wallet with 1 point each.
Much like the girls' race, so far we have a dominant rider who's taken out the first 2 sprints. Will that rider also become your new national champion, or will they be challenged?
Saw David Kwan just happy to sit in there for second, not really wanting to come around him. Maybe has those double points on the final lap in mind. Riders sitting 3-4 wide at the moment. Just willing to take a few breaths. 188, Carter Payne just pushing on a little bit. He swings up. Auckland and West Coast North Island rider following. Mid-South Canterbury rider sitting down underneath them. He's going to take them back down to the black.
Not many riders wanting to take the lead at the moment here and lead the way. Just happy to sit around and ride a bit conservatively.
Lachlan Kelly looking to come around the outside. Mid-South Canterbury rider's not going to have it though. He's going to hold them up there. So in 1 lap's time, they're going to hear the next bell. Watching David Kwan just sitting 3 wheels deep there. Looks like he's in the lane that's bringing him through to the front. David Kwan following Ben Murphy through. Can he hold that wheel, or is Ben going to get away from him? He's going to follow Ben. Looks like Ben's going to take maximum points. WCNI. David Kwan again for second. Ben Murphy riding dominantly here. That's 3 in a row now. Building up a sizable lead on 15 points now. Seeing West Coast North Island rider. Who was it? I believe Zach Wallet led that one out from quite a ways and only managed to scoop up points for third there. It's a lot of work. Perhaps just taking some points away from some of Ben Murphy's competitors. Here we see Ben Murphy first, David Kwan second, Zach Wallet third, and Jamie Henderson fourth in that sprint.
Carter Payne just making a move now, and David Kwan looking to chase it. David will be wanting to set up the sprint to get the double points if he wants to be on the top of that podium.
Carter Payne. So overall now, Ben Murphy first on 15, David Kwan second on 9, Carter Payne third on 4, Zach Wallet fourth on 3, and Connor Toomey and Jamie Henderson still on 1 point apiece. Seeing Carter Payne and the Mid-South Canterbury riders off the front there. Mid-South Canterbury rider is Connor Toomey. Carter Payne being shut down now. Ben Murphy's teammate shutting that down for him. David Kwan right there as well. Coming around for 3 laps to go now. Jesse Johnston, Mid-South Canterbury making a move now. He's going to drop down to the black. Got a gap now. Carter Payne's not going to have it though. He's chasing and he knows double points on the line here in a couple of laps. Can't afford to let anyone go if he wants to move forward. If he wants to hold that position in third on the podium with 4 points. He's just going to sit on him. Let the Mid-South Canterbury rider do the work.
Less than 500 metres to go now. They'll be coming around for the bell this time. Everyone's jostling for position and trying to get the maximum points. And we see a Canterbury rider now.
Everything to play for here. See David Kwan's been caught out of position here.
Carter Payne probably going to get maximum points on the line here.
Ben Murphy sitting in third. Might just be enough here. Ooh, might get caught at the line though.
With David Kwan just out of the points, that might just do enough for Carter to move up to second position.
This is going to be close. David Kwan not quite as comfortable as we thought. Struggling there towards the end. Strong race from Ben Murphy, just waiting on confirmation of points to see if he's done enough there. Saw some really good accelerations from him throughout that race. All smiles. I think Ben knows that he's done it. You can see in the bottom of your frame there, Ben Murphy with his arms crossed on the bras. Obviously put in a lot of effort for that. Still just waiting on that updated points list. We'll pass that along to you as soon as we see it. Just while we wait on that final result, we're moving on to the sprint semi-final for the boys, the second ride. So just a reminder, that'll be Nate Boness against Alex Schuller first up. Nate 1 ride up now. And in the second semi-final, Wolf Penne and Josh Parsons Wolf 1 ride up as well. Ben Murphy there just waiting for confirmation of his victory. results here from that final sprint. Carter Payne, 10 points. James Arroyo. So here's the points final. Ben Murphy taking the victory with 17 points, followed by Carter Payne moving into second with 14 points. David Kwan just hanging on for third with 9 points. James Arroyo, fourth and sixth. Connor Toomey with 5, Zach Wallet with 3, and rounding out our points, Jamie Henderson with 1 point. Congratulations, riders. So there you see our winner, Ben Murphy of West Coast North Island. Strong, rides some strong accelerations from him throughout.
We see Nate Boness here just walking onto the track and getting onto his bike, ready for his second race of the Under-17 boys sprint semi-final. Alex Schuller just joining him on the apron. Alex Schuller will have to win this ride if he wants to have a chance at winning the gold medal. Nate Boness just drawing the inside line here, going quite close to the fence, and Alex will have to just slot in nicely next to the fence.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if Nate wants to lead this one out after the last one. Looked like he was quite happy following Alex around, so we might see some slowing down of the riders while Nate tries to force Alex to come around him. Maybe even some track stand action if we're lucky, Sean.
I hope so. I'm waiting for it.
Nate, very active, moves around a lot on the bike, just checking, seeing exactly where Alex is. Yeah, so here we go. Already, Nate's laying things right down. Going to try and force Alex to come around him. Let's see if Alex is interested.
They've gone past that pursuit line on the back straight now and completed their first half, which means they're now allowed to track stand for 30 seconds if they would like. Seeing a little one here. Just need a bit of commitment from the riders. It can be very tricky under pressure in a race situation, something that riders can nail when they're in training, and then at racing can be very hard.
Looks like the manoeuvre has been completed then with Alex moving through onto the front. Let's see if he tries to force Nate to come back round him. Looks like Alex not super keen to lead this one out.
Both of them quite keen to protect the race lane here, not really wanting to veer too far away from it so far. And Nate looking to push Alex up the track just now.
A little bit of gentle argy-bargy there with Nate putting his shoulder in onto Alex's hip. Rubbing is racing, we do like to see it.
Nate will want to get his shoulders and bars above in front of Alex if he wants to have any control over that.
Obviously both strong under-17 riders, these two.
Both excelling now, coming in reasonably slow, but Nate will still have control over the sprint lane so far. Both of them still outside the sprint lane and really committing now. And Nate just unleashing through the back straight with some incredible speed. Not quite enough for Alex to get over. So Alex will race for bronze, and Nate will go through to the gold medal final and race for the national championship.
Little hand shake from the riders there, just acknowledging each other's efforts. Alex strong, but Nate just too good in this one. Was really powerful through the second half of that final lap.
Here comes Nate and Alex just having a wee chat while the Canterbury boys roll on for their second round, their second race of the semi-final. Wolf Peno 1 up. Josh Parsons will have to win this if he wants to race for gold. Canterbury boys just rolling away here now. Josh Parsons out of the seat. Still reasonably slow. Just wondering if Josh will want to take the front and build the pace again, or whether he's happy to sit behind and really nail the acceleration of Wolf.
So Wolf just holding Josh up on the rail. So get a little bit claustrophobic when you're being held so close to the rail, Sean?
Not really. I can see how it can be, but as long as you've got your front half of your bike in front of theirs, you've got the majority of the control as long as you get out of there.
Wolf holding him high, but Josh coming on the outside. Wolf dives down to the black. Josh is going to have to go the long way around. Wolf building a little bit of an advantage here. Josh drops onto the wheel. Staying wide, actually. Josh is going to hold on by the looks of... Wolf's going to hold on. Josh trying to come around the outside. Just holds on. Wolf's going to go through to the final, where he will face off against Nate Bonness. Two of the more dominant riders in under 17, so going to be a really good final. Replay coming here. So just see them coming out of the final corner. See Josh coming back at Wolf there. But Wolf just hanging on. So stay with us now for the award ceremony, where we will be awarding our... just seeing here, Wolf Penne and Josh Parsons, the result there. So Wolf Penne moving forward. So stay with us now for our points race under 15s presentation. Following those, we'll have the sprint finals and the under 17s scratch race for boys and girls. We'll be back with you shortly. Just while we're waiting, going to take a moment just to thank some of our sponsors and supporters. Coverage is brought to you today by skysportnext and the team from SBI Productions. We're also supported by Skoda, Amber Garden Centre and Lavender Acre Farm, with funding also received from the Trillion Trust. Performance partners of Cycling New Zealand also include Southern Spars, Cask Helmets, Lacole, Vittoria and Digirit. Thank you to everybody that helps support Cycling New Zealand and allows these events to go ahead.
currently muted.
Thank you. I have no idea. Watch from here. When I start.
Which ones are you doing?
Girls, under 15 girls. Is that how it works? So they know that? Ladies and gentlemen, the award ceremony for the 2022 Track National Championships Under 15 Girls Points Race will now take place. The medals will be presented by Erin Cricklington, President of Cycling New Zealand Road and Track. In third place, and the winner of the bronze medal, representing Southland, Poppy McIver. In second place, and the winner of the silver medal, representing Southland, Emily Forsyth. And in first place, and the winner of the gold medal, and your 2022 Under 15 Girls Points Race National Champion, Representing Canterbury, Shayla Sayers. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in our 2022 Under 15 Girls Points Race. Ladies and gentlemen, the award ceremony for the 2022 Track National Championship Under 15 Boys Points Race will now take place. The medals will once again be presented by Erin Criglington, President of Cycling New Zealand Road and Track. In third place, and the winner of the bronze medal, representing Auckland, David Kwan. In second place, and the winner of the silver medal, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Carter Payne. And in first place, and the winner of the gold medal in the 2022 Under 15 Boys Points Race National Champion, representing West Coast North Island, Ben Murphy. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2022 Under 15 Boys Points Race National Championship.
So coming up next, got a busy schedule to round out the session. We have the Under 17 Boys Sprint Finals, the Under 17 Girls Scratch Race Final, the second ride for the Sprint Final of the boys, and then also the Under 17 Scratch Race Final as well. Busy morning ahead. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. So here we are at Track National Championships for the finals of the Under 17 Boys Sprint. And the first ride, we have Josh Parsons and Alex Schuller riding off for the bronze. So we got Josh Parsons Got Josh Parsons drawing number 1 for this, and Alex just above him in number 2 there. They're away, Ferg giving Josh a good push there.
Josh Parsons here always seems to like to keep the pace relatively high. And just again with Alex Schuller, another rider with a reasonably good acceleration, so it will be interesting to see if Josh can change his tactics a little bit and use what he learnt from riding with Wolf to try and overcome Alex.
Yeah, Josh looks happy to lead this one out. Saw in the last one, Alex looked like he would have preferred to be behind Nate. Oh, but here he goes. Goes underneath Josh, leads it out. Just heard the bell there, so 1 to go.
Alex just ducking into the sprint lane when Josh wasn't looking and taking the lead, so...
Josh looked comfortable here. He's accelerating onto the back of Alex here. He's going to have to go the long way round. It's going to be close. Alex takes first ride. Just not quite enough for Josh there to come out of the slipstream and get him there at the line. Just watching the replay here of Josh coming around the outside, just not quite enough left in the legs to get him at the line. Just coming onto the back of Alex as they hit the finish there. Thoughts on that one there? Do you think Josh perhaps just caught out by Alex ducking under him there?
I think Josh has the speed, just has shown to be missing the acceleration by a fraction. So maybe for this next ride, just wants to initiate the acceleration and see what he can do there.
He looked to hold the pace quite high early on. Just transitioning now to the gold final where we see Nate Burness in the blue just coming up to the line now with his coach. Wolf Penne already waiting. This is going to be a close one. Both riders focused, eyes down. They receive the whistle, and away they go. We've seen Nate here prefers to be led out. He doesn't really want to lead this out. You can already see he's slowing this up. Gotten all the way through the finals without a real proper track stand. Nate doesn't look like he wants it here though. He's going to drop back down to the blue for this one. Oh, Nate's climbing the embankment. Looks like Wolf's happy to come around underneath and lead him out. He's going to take him up to the rail though. Nate just flicking back and forth, making Wolf watch over both of his shoulders. Nate very active on the bike, very twitchy.
Nate probably looking to push the pace a little bit so that they come into the bell with a bit more speed.
Wolf just looks calm. Two contrasting styles here. Nate goes early. Wolf's going to snap down onto that wheel. A little gap there, but he's going to close it down coming into the bell.
Just left the door open a little bit for Nate to come through. Slightest of margins and then got the acceleration. But Wolf is coming back now, so it's going to be a tight finish.
Wolf coming strong around the back straight.
Just get caught on the outside here.
100 metres to go. Can he snap off that wheel? No, Nate's going to take that comfortably. Wolf just sitting on the wheel there.
It's the end of the first round of the first ride of the sprint finals. We've got Alex Schuller, 1 up on Josh Parsons, and Nate Burness, 1 up on Wolf Penne.
Replay coming here. Just seeing Nate really accelerating into the line. Wolf unable to come out of that wheel. Nate Burness taking that one. Speed of 61.224 kilometres per hour. Here we are at Track National Championships, the under-17 girls scratch race final, 5,000 metres. Strong field here of 18 riders. They're all going to come up onto the rail. Got a good mixture of riders. A few riders from Southland, Waikato Bay, plenty, Tasman. Even a rider from Northland and Geraldine. Any favourites for this one, Sean?
See Caitlin Kelly's just taken, she's on the front at the moment, won her scratch race and a very nice sprint, so she's probably a favourite for a sprint finish, along with the likes of Geraldine and Jodie Blackwood, Caroline Gray. Lots of strong riders here.
Awesome. So we'll just do the introduction for the riders now. So we have, as mentioned, Caitlin Kelly on the front from Southland with her teammate Lucy Griffin. Hannah Payne from Waikato Bay of Plenty. Geraldine Leaf from Northland. Christina Scott, Waikato Bay of Plenty. Millie Donald of Wellington. Michaela McDonald of Tasman. Piper Russell of Waikato Bay of Plenty. Jodie Blackwood of Auckland. Caroline Gray of Waikato Bay of Plenty. Zadie Scott of Southland. Kenzie Compton of West Coast North Island. Alina Worrell of Auckland, Erin Green of Tasman, Millie Wright of Waikato Bay of Plenty, and on the back, Sienna Lushcott of Auckland.
Riders are away for their neutral lap. We see a strong field here for a 20-lap scratch race. They'll go for their neutral lap and then be given the gun to indicate the start of the race.
Riders just content to roll around slowly. No need to really kick on too early in this one. 19 laps remaining.
We've got some strong riders in here. We've got a few sprinters, a few endurance riders, a few sprint endurance riders. It's all up for grabs. Whether it come down to a sprint or there'll be a breakaway or someone will gain a lap. Got Jodie Blackwood in there, got Caitlin Kelly in there, got Piper Russell in there. All be keen to have a sprint finish at the end, and you might have the likes of Caroline Gray and Michaela McDonald or Erin Green, or the Southland girls, any of them looking to nudge away off the front for these next 17 laps.
Yeah, looking to make it harder for a few of those sprinters that are just content with sitting in. Really evenly matched field, though. Hard to pick a favourite out of a field like this.
Christina Scott just rolling off the front there, making way for Geraldine Leaf and Jodie Blackwood. Jodie Blackwood with the 2 Tasman girls on her wheel.
Kayla McDonald just rolling up. Auckland rider looking to come round her. Wellington rider accelerating on her wheel as well. Erin Green of Tasman just holding position on the front though. Willing to work to maintain that position. The Wellington rider accelerating now. That's Millie Donald. She's going to look to come around and drop down to the black, but looks like the Auckland rider's not going to allow that. Holding pace, just looking over at her.
Erin Green still just happy to sit on the front. Nice strong rider coming from Blenheim, sorry. But spending majority of her time out on the road and on the outdoor tracks, so will be no stranger to pushing the wind.
Two Waikato riders heading the front, just rolling off.
Pace is on a little bit now. The bunch is starting to get a bit more stretched out. Coming just about to the halfway point. Start to see riders starting to set up their moves and set up their positioning in the bunch and try and find the right wheels to follow.
See Erin Green just accelerating around the outside of the group there. Just looking to maintain position without working too hard for it. Carlin Gray there just rolling off the front, checking out who's around. Brief look at her teammate.
All the Waikato riders in this field had a very strong elimination yesterday. And just had Michaela McDonald there at the end, squeezing through little gaps. She could be a little underdog to watch here.
Yeah, interesting to see two of those Waikato riders who were on the back just making their way around the outside now. Grouping of 4 of them now, just coming up the right-hand side. Just came through for 9 to go, so we're inside the latter half of the race. Group still quite bunched up. Look for somebody to accelerate, really stretch things out here. Majority of the group sitting up above the blue. Here we go, acceleration from Carlin Gray. Looking to push things on, really.
Taking Caitlin Kelly with her and Jodie Blackwood just trying to chase that down. We've got Piper Russell there as well. The rest of the Waikato riders coming in force around the outside. Very strong, coming from training here all the time.
Looks like the strength of those Waikato riders almost working against them, bringing the other 10 riders back to that small group that was away off the front. Group really lined out now. Carlin Gray really looking to drive on. She's going to swing up though. She's not happy. Look for a few more accelerations to come. Carlin Gray obviously wants a select group, doesn't want to have to go at it from a group of 15 or more. 4, 5, 6 wide now, coming into the back corner. All the Waikato riders there maintaining good position. Tasman riders there sitting 2 rows deep on the outside. Look for one of them to potentially come flying off the embankment here. Wellington rider just easing to the front there. Southland just controlling the front down the bottom of the track. A lot of riders looking around, seeing if there's any hurt on the faces of the riders around them.
Jodie Blackwood just starting to make a move around the outside now. Caitlin Kelly will want to look for that.
Erin Green following that wheel.
As they're inside the last kilometre of the race, they'll be wanting to keep their positions, and the ones at the back will be wanting to get around. But as we've seen in the other races, as the pace increases, that gets harder and harder to do. So you'll see the riders at the front just taking a look over their shoulders, waiting to see their rivals coming around the outside.
Geraldine of Northland sitting second wheel down the bottom on the black there. It's going to either work for her or against her, depending on how that Southland rider ahead works. Carlin Gray and her teammate is coming around the outside. Southland rider looks to kick on.
Caitlin Kelly working hard now, taking Hannah Payne with her. Piper Russell on Hannah's wheel. Kaylin Gray, Millie Wright, all of the Waikato riders are there.
Coming into the final lap.
It's going to be hard. We see Piper Russell coming around the outside now. And Michaela Donald coming around the outside too.
Tasman rider with good acceleration, just held up on the blue though. It's going to cost her at the end. Two Waikato
Squeeze for the
riders.
run, and it'll be Millie Wright that takes the win.
Big lunge there for third place. Look, 3 wide.
Very big win for Millie Wright.
Geraldine just paying the price there for being boxed in there on the inside. Once that acceleration happened, the Southland rider in front of her just went massively backwards and she was stuck.
So congratulations to Millie Wright, your new scratch race national champion for the under-17 girls.
Another dominant performance from the Waikato riders there.
Kaylin Gray just coming to congratulate her teammate on the win.
All smiles there for the Waikato Bad Plenty teammates. Looks like the commissaires and the officials just reviewing that finish line footage. Big lunge for third place there. Coming to the replay now. This is the sprint finish from Wolf Penner and Nate Bowness.
Just see on screen now Millie Wright debriefing her race to Stirling. It was just in the race earlier. You just see the under-17 boys sprint final for the bronze ride, second ride. Coming onto the track now, Alex Schuller and Josh Parsons. Alex Schuller in position 1 will lead this one off away from Josh Parsons. Alex Schuller 1 ride up, so Josh will have to win this one if he wants to win that bronze medal.
So just seeing the boys away there. Alex just slowly rolling along. Josh has come underneath him into the sprinter's lane. Looks like he might be happy to lead this one out.
These two boys riding very close together at the moment, shoulder to shoulder. Potentially both wanting the front here. And big acceleration now, quite far out, still a lap and a half to go. Alex Schuller will have to get around the outside if he doesn't want to go the long way the whole time.
Alex comes around Josh, drops down onto the black, opens a little bit of a gap, but Josh coming back at him, settles onto the wheel. He's going to have to come around the outside.
Josh is going to have to push hard.
Watch for a big acceleration off the embankment here. Looks like Alex has done enough though and clears him at the line. Josh coming back quickly, but not quite enough.
So Alex Schuller will take the bronze medal in the under-17 boys sprint final.
So just seeing replay here. Josh trying to come around the outside, but Alex just too strong at the end, coming back quickly, but not enough.
Just see Wolf Penne rolling onto the track now. Terry Judd pushing him up to the start line as Nate Boness just climbs onto his bike, ready to ride their second ride of the under-17 boys gold medal final. Nate Boness one ride up. Will need to win this one to win the national championship. Wolf Penne will be looking to change that. Riders just giving their nods there for the comm to blow the whistle. Riders are now away. Wolf leading. Nate in the number 2 position. Nate just getting a bit of height here, with Wolf just keeping a steady eye on him. Pace still reasonably slow.
A little bit faster than last time out though. In the first ride, really having to accelerate from a low speed. Wolf looking to hold the speed a little bit higher. Accelerates now. Nate chasing, gap holding. Nate's coming back onto the wheel with 1 lap remaining. Wolf really driving it now, in control of the sprint lane. Here comes Nate though onto the back straight. Level. Nate going clear, drops onto the black. And your under-17 boys sprint champion, Nate Boness.
Very fast ride from Nate Boness. You also see from Wolf there, very, very sharp acceleration in turn 3 there. Sort of very controlled and then just this big snap. So very cool to see for the young rider, but very fast for Nate. And congratulations, Nate, on your new national title.
Congratulations indeed. Congratulations also to Wolf Penne. A sharp, sharp acceleration there. Look to have Nate under a little bit of pressure coming down the front straight with 1 to go. Fortunately for Nate, just able to snap onto that wheel and really draw level with him coming through the final bend, and just able to overhaul him there and snap back onto the black to finish it off. Seeing the replay here. Nate coming around. This is along the back straight, draws level, clears Wolf, snaps down onto the black, and that's a done deal right there. Wolf's not coming back from that. Nate knows it's done. Celebration over the line there from him. Awesome to see. Just seeing Nate Vanessa's coach there handing off his non-aero helmet. Looks like he is going to strap that helmet on straight into the under-17 boys scratch race. Quick drink of water there. Wonder if we'll see Wolf Penner do the same thing as well. There we go. So just seeing the under-17 boys scratch race final, 7,500 metres here at the Track National Championships. Just seeing in the left of your frame all of the boys lining up on the rail, making sure they're in the right order. Commissaire just walking alongside them there, just checking them off. Just doing the rider intros here. Flynn Edwards of Southland on the front. Matthew Davidson of Canterbury, second wheel there. Kane Foster of Waikato Bay Plenty. Lucas Binney of Auckland. Jamie Cantel Roberts of Auckland. Lucas Sanders of Canterbury. Nate Boness back for more of Auckland. Magnus Jameson of Southland. Kyle Paris of Waikato. Josh Rowe also of Waikato. Josh Parsons, Canterbury. Frankie Thompson of Southland. Wolf Penner also back for more of Canterbury. Kane Borry of Southland. Liam Ramsey, Southland as well. Bernard Pawson of Auckland. Luca Moran of Waikato Bay Plenty. And Zane Wiley rounding us up from Auckland as well. So here come the boys dropping off the rail here. Quick turnaround for Wolf Penner and Nate Boness there. Going to see how their legs fare after, let's be real, an intense sprint final there. So the lads are going to come around. They'll get the gun this lap, and that will indicate the start of the race. 30 laps to go. Nate Boness on the front, check over his shoulder just to see who's there. Magnus straight on his wheel. He'll be happy to be rested up. I think he'll be quietly confident in this one here.
Nate Boness probably just keen to keep things rolling and keep the leads ticking over after that sprint final.
Exactly. Magnus and Kane Foster licking their lips at the opportunity in this one, I think. Slightly more rested up than a few of the other riders here. Magnus swinging up, snapping back down. Here we go, around the outside. Magnus looking to make it hard earlier. Drops down to the black. Wolf Penner chasing. Two riders going away here. No response from the rest of the field. One Southland rider just holding pace. Wolf looking to snap across.
Lucas Sanders just joining up to Magnus at the moment.
Sorry, those two Canterbury riders looking really similar in those cast helmets. Magnus snaps up, snaps back down onto the wheel, and they're going to look to drive on now. 27 laps to go. Some reaction from the Waikato riders behind there. Three of them coming to the front, going to do a little bit of work. Southland riders behind. Looking just to mark those Waikato riders. Let's see if they help them or not.
See the Canterbury rider just relaxing back, going to jump back into the main bunch. Doesn't quite want to stay there with Magnus.
Magnus is a dangerous man to let go. Magnus, our IP winner, not unfamiliar to just tucking in and just getting his work done. Kane Foster going after him here. Going to look to take somebody with him. Looks like Zane. Yep, Zane of Auckland chasing. He's going to try and get onto that wheel, see if they can do some work. Auckland centre lined up chasing. Zane pulls up. Magnus has had enough. Kane's going to crack on. Magnus trying to snap down onto his wheel. Looks like he might have just missed it though. Kane swings up. Magnus not interested. Nate Boness going to pull through now. He's happy to keep the pace on. He flicks his elbow. Nobody really willing there to come through. Looks like it's going to come back together. Nate back down though. He's seen the group set up. Going to be joined by his centre partner. Looking just to roll steady here. Somebody needs to react to this. Obviously the fatigue from that sprint, not too much for Nate. He's happy to crack on, 22 laps to go. One of Magnus's teammates comes to the front. He's going to try and shut this down. Looks to be a little bit of team tactics going on in this one. Magnus and Wolfpenny supported by a few of their teammates, sending somebody to front just to shut things down a little bit. Look to Zane Foster, just sitting 3 wheels, 4 wheels from the back there, just resting up, saving his energy. Wolfpenny as well. Just not looking to drive things, just sitting in. One of the Waikato riders now, just short snap, not interested in driving things on. A few riders definitely looking to make things hard here today, not wanting riders who are sitting in to get too much of a free ride round. Magnus now hitting the front, just trying to line things out a little bit. Magnus pulling a big turn here, Sean. What do you think's going through his mind right now?
Wondering if he just wants to string things out a little bit. Perhaps doesn't want a full bunch sprint at the finish. Trying to get rid of a few rivals like Nate Boness and Wolfpenny, who have just come from the sprint finals. Maybe he's worried about a bit more speed still left in their legs.
One of Magnus's teammates, they're just strategically letting the wheel go, do you think? Looks to be Canterbury rider comes around him now, looking to shut that gap down. Just slightly too many riders in that group, making it nice and easy for that Canterbury rider to snap that door shut. Magnus hits the front again, but just looking to ride steady now. He swings up.
Inside the halfway mark now. Just starts to see some things unfold. Magnus has done a lot of work in this first half, so he'll need to look for some recovery.
Yeah, hasn't seen the fruits of his labour kind of come through yet. It's going to be interesting to see how he can recover through these next few laps and maybe go again with 6 or 7 to go. Notice after his early moves, Zane Foster just been sitting in, not doing too much, not doing too little. Sorry, Kane Foster that is.
I have your pen, I will be returning it. I was just going to wipe it down first.
All the Aucklanders on the front at the moment with Zane Reilly, Nate Boness. Two favourites for this race. Good to see a good amount of Aucklanders here. 4 Auckland riders, 5 Auckland riders, 4 Canterbury riders.
5 Southland riders. Really good mixture of centres here. Just missing some Tasman riders, I think.
Wellington.
True. Need to do a recruitment drive. Magnus just caught on the wrong end of the split here. Looks like it's coming back together. He's also in the company of Kane Foster though, so not too much to worry about. Things really lining out now. Southland riders just putting the pace down. A few riders caught near the back here. 7 laps to go, plenty of time to move up, but if the pace stays like this, they're going to find it hard.
Just letting Matthew Davidson slip off the front a little bit here. They won't want to let that go too far. He spent a lot of time off the front in the elimination yesterday, I think.
Also earlier today in the scratch heat as well. So he might be feeling a bit of fatigue, but we know that he's strong. Certainly won't want to be letting that one go, but the fatigue's going to come on strong here with about 5.5 laps to go. Auckland riders working hard here. Nate Burness just accelerating easily to come back to the front of the race. Shouting you can hear in the background there from the infield. Good to see the riders we have here supporting our under-17 boys. Nate Burness, really line share of the work. Christ, Canterbury rider swings up. Race is really just going to pieces here. A few riders coming back. Magnus just taking this lull in pace. There's an opportunity to move forward here. He comes onto the back of that front little grouping. Wolf Penn in nice position here, just sitting waiting. Nate Burness got his teammate leading him out here, 3 to go.
Interestingly, right next to Nate Burness is Wolf Penne, keeping that sprint rivalry going.
Here we go, he's going to snap on, oh no, he's going to let that wheel go. Perhaps feeling a bit of fatigue. Nate Burness is going to go into 2 laps to go with a bit of an advantage here. Kane Foster though, third wheel, could be dangerous. Wolf Penny going backwards, I think he might just be feeling it a little bit. He's going to have to bridge that by himself. He's not going to want to do that right now.
This
Magnus.
could play into the hands of Nate Burness's teammate here.
Oh yeah, Magnus. And then Nate just shake of his head there. He's given his teammate a lead out. Here comes Kane. Here comes Kane. Oh, late run from, is that Matthew Davidson?
Matthew Davidson coming around the
Here we
outside
go.
of Kane Foster here.
Catching some lap riders. Lunge at the line. Oh,
Very tight between Kane Foster and Matthew Davidson.
With Magnus Sheffield with a late run as well. It's going to be tight for 1, 2, 3, 4. Catching some lapped riders right on the line there, complicating things a little bit. Well done, all riders, for navigating that safely. Coming into our replay now.
Thank you.
Here we see Matthew Davidson coming around Kane Foster into the final straight. See the Auckland rider there as well, Magnus coming around. Oh, looks like Kane just held on there. Looks like Kane Foster, 137, is going to be our winner, but just waiting on confirmation of that. Coming back to our replay here. See the late run of Matthew Davidson, lunging for the line. Man, that's close. What do you think, Sean? I think I might have been wrong with my call. That's
I don't know.
too close to call. We'll leave that one to the comms.
Sorry, guys.
Pat on the back there for Kane Foster from his coach. That's an awesome effort. Played his hand really, really well there. Just saved his matches early on. Really played his cards right in those last 5 laps. Little fist bump there for his teammate. Seeing the riders just warming down. Some big efforts put in there. See the pace really went on hard in those last 7, 8 laps. So just going frame by frame here on this lunge to the line. It's going to be hard for us to see. Whoa, that's close. Our camera's not perfectly aligned with the finish there, but it looks like Kane Foster maybe just by the width of a tyre. We'll wait for confirmation of that one though.
Matthew Davidson was coming so fast from the outside in the last 50 metres. Just lunging there.
How selfless is that though from Nate Burness, leading things out for his teammate there. Really dug in from 3 laps to go and dropped his teammate off on the front with 1 to go. He just couldn't quite hold on, unfortunately. Selfless stuff though from our new sprint national champion. Magnus as well, quite far back with 1 lap to go. Looked to be outside the top 10 wheels. Came back almost for a medal there. No small feat given how strung out that field was. Still just waiting for confirmation of that result. We'll be with you shortly.
You guys need to know what I've said to my people in here is that who hits the man again? Like I'm literally staying 2 minutes away. I'm not doing anything. So I don't want to be in here, but I have to be because I recognise that we need to follow the rules. But if who hits the man, I feel that they need me here, just call me. I'll check in with you guys before I come inside just to make sure that you guys are okay with it. And then we'll come in, put the ball in. I think so, yeah. There might be a little
So Sean, obviously a few riders coming straight out of sprint finals there and into a pretty intense scratch race. I imagine you've probably been in a similar situation a few times yourself. How do you think their legs responded there? Feeling a bit of lactate, but
It can be very hard, eh? Like those repeated efforts of sprinting and repeated accelerations and then into a scratch race that can sometimes be the same. It's just, yeah, you just have to see how the race pans out, but it can be very hard on the legs and they can often feel quite flat.
yeah, we saw Nate trying to set like a steady tempo early on in that race, but then kind of ended up being quite a snappy race with a lot of rapid accelerations, some of which he had to shut by himself. Would have really taken a toll on his legs, I think.
Which is interesting. So the whole process I'm going to change the advice that I give to people moving to Yeah. Well, so the difference with the ratio that I was suggesting to people, you have to, if you have two bikes side by side and you cycle down the road for a little bit over 11 kilometres, one of the bikes, it would take 11.4 kilometres worth of riding for one bike to have done one more pedal revolution than the other. So at that point, if you think that that's the margin by which you're going to win or lose, you just bark it up to the wrong thing. And an even more, one more conservative gear would mean that you'd have to ride down the road for 7 kilometres to do one extra pedal revolution. To think that that's the win or lose is just ridiculous. Try and convince people. But anyway, I appreciate your help. And he keeps on. I take that on board and we'll go have the necessary conversation. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Sorry, am I? Yes, so is Logan. Logan is the president. You know what my problem is? We've got a bank account that requires 2 signatories. Yeah, there's only one signatory, and that's me. I think it's easy for somebody else to become a fucking signatory.
So just seeing Nate Bonis there in the blue, talking to a potential winner, Kane Foster, just waiting for confirmation of that one. A few riders just spinning the legs out, obviously a lot more racing to come. Matthew Davidson in the back of frame over there, just waiting for confirmation. He'll be interested to see just how close that was. So just seeing our commissaires over there, just reviewing that finish line footage. Looks like they've got the footage there on the iPad from our high-speed finish line camera. Obviously not unfamiliar territory, track racing often coming down to mere tyre widths. Just take a second to thank our new high-performance pit sponsor, Velobike. Glenn from Velobikes just moved up to Cambridge recently, so it'll be awesome to see him around the track a little bit more. Awesome products. We appreciate having him up here, and we appreciate the sponsorship of the high-performance pit as well. Thanks, Glenn. Tense moments for the riders here while we wait on confirmation of this result. After 7,500 metres of racing, and it comes down to millimetres. So stay with us for the medal presentation of the under-17 boys sprint final and the under-17 girls and boys scratch races. Just minutes away now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the award ceremony for the 2022 Track National Championships Under-17 Boys Sprint will now take place. The medals will be presented by Erin Cricklington, President of Cycling New Zealand Road and Track. In third place, and the winner of the bronze medal, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Alex Schuller. In second place, and the winner of the silver medal, representing Canterbury, Wolf Penne. In first place, and the winner of the gold medal, your 2022 Under-17 Boys Sprint National Champion, representing Auckland, Nate Bonus. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2022 Under-17 Boys Sprint Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, the award ceremony for the 2022 Track National Championship Under-17 Girls Scratch Race will now take place. The medals will once again be presented by Erin Cricklington, President of Cycling New Zealand Road and Track. In third place, and the winner of the bronze medal, representing Southland, Caitlin Kelly. In second place, and the winner of the silver medal, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Piper Russell. And in first place, and the winner of the gold medal, and your 2022 Under-17 Girls Scratch Race National Champion, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Millie Wright. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2022 Under-17 Girls Scratch Race National Championships. The award ceremony for the 2022 Under-17 Boys Scratch Race will now take place. The medals will once again be presented by Erin Cricklington, President of Cycling New Zealand Road and Track. In third place, and the winner of the bronze medal, representing Southland, Magnus Jameson. In second place, and the winner of the silver medal, representing Waikato Bay of Plenty, Kane Foster. In first place, and the winner of the gold medal, and your 2022 Under-17 Boys Scratch Race National Champion, representing Canterbury, Matt Davidson. Matt will also receive the HF Litoff Trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for the place getters in the 2022 Under-17 Boys Scratch Race.
Sweet, so stay tuned with us now for some interviews with our race winners and podium place getters.
Millie? Is Millie? Yeah, Millie speak.
All right, we are catching up with Millie Wright, who has just been crowned our under-17 girls scratch race national champion. How does that feel, Millie?
Feels great.
Did you come into this with any expectations, or are you just, here to hang out with your friends and have some fun?
Yeah, I don't know. I just came here for fun, really, and that's it. I just didn't really want to. I didn't not want to win, but like I just came to hang out with friends, and that's it.
Well, that's awesome. When you come with that right attitude, you can just walk away with the national championship. So well done, Millie. What else are you looking forward to for the rest of the week?
I'm looking forward to the medicine.
Have you done a medicine before?
Yeah, I did one with Kaylin Gray.
And is Kaylin your partner this week?
We haven't decided who's our partner yet.
Awesome. Well, medicines are great fun. We look forward to seeing you out there. Well done for today.
Thank you.
Right, we are now catching up with Nate Bonus, who has just taken the under-17 boys sprint national championship. First in qualifying too. Talk us through the day, Nate.
I just went out and tried to race as I always do, at Waikato's Auckland champs, and came away with the win, which was good.
Awesome. And talk to us a bit what you do outside of cycling. Obviously, it's really important to have some balance at your age. Do you do anything outside of cycling?
Yeah. Well, especially this year, I've kind of put a bit of a hold on the road cycling side of things and decided to pursue rugby because it's the last year I'll properly be able to play for my school. So, just doing that, finding a bit of balance and hopefully not getting injured.
And what position are you playing in rugby this year?
I play winger.
And are you a Blues or a Chiefs supporter?
Chiefs, of course.
Nice work. Awesome. Well, good luck for the rest of the competition, Nate.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So thank you for joining us for session 1 of day 2 at the New Zealand Track National Championships. Special mention to Sian Fulton for joining me in the commentary booth this morning. Tune back in at 3 p.m. for session 2 with Andrew Williams and Jessie Hodges in the commentary box. For our women's elite and under-19 sprint, Cairns and eliminations, plus some para rides in there as well. Special mention also to our supporters, Skoda, Amber Garden Centre and Lavender Acre Farm. Coverage has been brought to you today by Sky Sport and the team from SBI Productions. From me, Cullen Brown, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you later on.